Chapter 4565. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Haha. Feng Qingyang laughed heartily, with a free and easy demeanor. Xiaotian, what you said completely touched my heart. However, you don't need to take turns with me. I just stay here alone. Anyway, it's the same wherever you practice. In the next period of time, you'd better spend time with your family. Having said that, he paused for a moment, as if remembering something, looked at Duan Lingtian and said solemnly, "You must have noticed that after stepping into the 7th level of Xian, the small world in our body has also undergone a transformation. It is enough for many existences below Xian to practice in the closed small world inside the body. The aura near the tree of life is so rich that it will never lose to the place outside the world, or even the place with the most aura in the world. If your family and friends are willing, they can all enter the small world inside your body to practice, and it is safer there. He is a person who can be said to have no worries, but his disciple is different. He has many family members and friends. If he is not careful, he may be used to threaten him." After listening to Master Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian also nodded solemnly, thought about this question seriously, and felt that it made sense. Certainly, he also knows that although the small world in his body is suitable for cultivation, it is very boring, and not everyone is willing to stay in it, on freedom or outside freedom. I'll ask them for their opinion then. Duan Lingtian nodded and said, "If they don't want to, I'll go to Lord Xiao and talk about it. Let the small world in my body replace one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm and become one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm." The Tao of Heaven is obviously intentionally pointing out a road for saints and Jia Zun to hope to overcome the taboo realm and catastrophe. This is the benefit he gives to those people. But now, this road was blocked by his master and him, preventing those people from going on the road. If it were him who was the Tao of Heaven, even if he couldn't directly attack him and his master, he would try every means to give those saints and masters a chance to go on the road. "Master, then I will deal with my affairs first. If you have something to do, you can send the law avatar back to the Xia family in the God-defying realm to find me at any time, and I will leave a law avatar there." Before leaving, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang. "Good." Feng Qingyang responded and watched Duan Lingtian leave with a gratified smile on his face. At the same time his gaze fell into the distance, his thoughts wandered, and his memory seemed to return to the scene when his disciple was still in the secular plane many years ago. At that time he was already the Emperor of Nirvana, one of the planes of the heavens, standing high above, overlooking one of the planes of the heavens, and all living beings bowed down. But his disciple has not yet become an immortal, finally caught up. Thinking that before his breakthrough this time, he was surpassed a lot by this disciple, Feng Qingyang sighed again, feeling that he had finally saved his face as a master. Even if he knew that no matter whether his strength was surpassed or not, his disciple would not disrespect him because of it. But deep down he had to admit that he still cared a little. It is something to be proud of that blue comes out of blue and is better than blue, but it is often accompanied by a little helplessness deep in my heart. After separating from Master Feng Qingyang, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to return to Nishan realm to find family and friends. It was Feng Su Yufeng who went to the vast land on one side of the sea area and entered a lofty mountain. The atmosphere in it was so chilling that he almost fell here. Within the mountains, most of the place is barren, and sometimes there are monsters rushing past, rolling up dust, and disappearing in front of them in a blink of an eye. Here, it is the Red Demon Ridge. In the past, he almost fell here. This place was also the first stop on land he arrived at after he came to the outside world and accidentally appeared in the sea area. The owner of the Red Demon Ridge is an extremely strong man named Red Demon, who is suspected to have been seriously injured in the last 10,000 years Xian tribulation, and urgently needs to find a new body to seize. The Red Devil wants to find a new body that fits the conditions as perfectly as possible. because the bloodline's secret method of their family can only use the perfect method of seizing the body once in a lifetime, which is a heaven-defying method that other lives do not have. At that time, Duan Lingtian was considered young, but the Red Devil should have to see whether he met other conditions. So he set up many tests and forced him to participate. However, before the Red Devil finished screening, he escaped from the Red Devil Ridge with the help of others. Red Devil, the old man is here, and you don't come out to see him? Duan Lingtian stood in the sky above the Red Demon Ridge. His eyes were calm. His tone was calm. Although his voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by all the creatures in the Red Demon Ridge. As his voice fell, there were quite a few figures rising from the sky in the Red Demon Ridge. There were the personal demon guards under the command of the Red Demon, and there were even a few figures that Duan Lingtian had some impression of. Chapter 4566. Somewhat familiar. The few people who showed up looked at the purple-clothed youth in front of them, and one of them couldn't help muttering to himself, as if he had seen him before. As the puppet centurion of the Lord of the Red Demon Ridge, the Red Demon, he has not left the Red Demon Ridge for many years. In other words, there is a high probability that he met the other party in Red Demon Ridge. Isn't he Duan Lingtian? The other Golem Centurion also felt that the person in front of him was familiar, and soon remembered when and where he had seen each other. It was in the Red Demon Ridge many years ago that he had seen him. The first time I saw each other was when Wu Tsang, the puppet commander, fought against each other. At that time, the opponent was only a middle-level god, but it seemed to be a tie with Wu Tsang and even broke out in the end, almost escaping from Red Demon Ridge. If Wu Tsang hadn't opened the formation barrier left by Master Chimo Ridge, the opponent would have already escaped. The formation barrier appeared, and Lord Red Demon appeared and took down the opponent. Later, the other party made another attack and powerfully killed Wu Tsang, one of the strongest under Lord Red Demon, in the Red Demon Ridge, shocking all their puppets. At that moment, they knew that looking at the Red Demon Ridge, only Lord Red Demon could hold down the opponent. Originally thought that the other party would eventually become Lord Red Demon's target of seizing the house, but later they were shocked to learn that the other party escaped from Red Demon Ridge under the nose of Lord Red Demon. That time, Lord Red Demon killed many golems to vent his anger in a fit of anger. The entire Red Devil Ridge is bleeding like a river. They never expected that many years later they would see Duan Lingtian, who escaped from Red Demon Ridge again. Was he so courageous? Aren't you afraid that Master Red Demon will take him down? Although Lord Red Demon now has a new body and does not need other bodies to seize the body, it is still an easy task to take down the opponent and make the opponent a puppet. This Lingtian, since he escaped back then, dare to come back? Several goblin centurions couldn't figure it out. Why did Duan Lingtian, who had already escaped from Red Demon Ridge and regained his freedom, run back to Red Demon Ridge? Although some time ago they also saw the publicity of Duan Lingtian in Tiandao's script many times, but they didn't contact Duan Lingtian in front of them, they just thought it was a person with the same name and surname. They subconsciously felt that when they saw Duan Lingtian last time, it was not many years since now, so it must be impossible for them to be the same person. Duan Lingtian. The Red Demon appeared, no longer the body of the past, but another body. The owner of this body, Duan Lingtian, still has some impressions, and he was also one of the young geniuses imprisoned by the Red Demon back then. After the Red Demon appeared, his consciousness spread out and swept towards Duan Lingtian, as if he was surprised by Duan Lingtian's return and wanted to spy on Lingtian. Red Demon, long time no see. Faced with the sweeping of the divine sense, the terrifying aura swept the four directions, making several puppet centurions retreat again and again. The Scarlet Demon. But Duan Lingtian's face remained unchanged, and with a calm smile, the divine sense also swept out. For a moment, Duan Lingtian didn't move, but extended an extremely terrifying momentum, pressing towards the Red Demon. The Red Devil's consciousness instantly collapsed. Wow dash! Under the oppression of Duan Lingshan's consciousness and extended aura, the red demon spit out a mouthful of blood without any warning. His complexion was as white as paper in an instant. His childish holes contracted sharply, and his body trembled. Just at this moment, those two heavenly words that he saw a few years ago appeared in his mind without any sign. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian, the high-ranking in the Nishan realm, who has successfully passed through the Taboo realm, and is expected to become the first 7th-level powerhouse after the history is cut off, surpassing the world's revered and saints. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the Taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jesuin and saints. There were 2 heavenly words, and when he saw the first one, he thought of Duan Lingtian, who he wanted to take away when he escaped from Red Demon Ridge. However, he felt that it could not be the same person. When he saw the second heavenly Tao text later, he felt even more impossible to be the same person. Even today, when Duan Lingtian appeared again in Scarlet Demon Ridge and delivered it to his door, he never thought that this Duan Lingtian was that Duan Lingtian until this moment. Duan Lingtian crushed his consciousness, and just because of his aura, he vomited blood from the air, wounded his lungs, and the small world inside his body was turned upside down. He suddenly realized the Duan Lingtian in front of him, who he could easily control in the past, is the Duan Lingtian announced by the Tian Dao text. Now one of the 2 most powerful existences in the world beyond, and even in the world. An existence above saints and world venerables. How can this be? Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian. Could it be that he is Duan Lingtian, who was announced by the heavenly Tao text, has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and is stronger than a saint? Those puppet centurions were also stunned by the scene in front of them at this time, and at the same time thought of the 2 heavenly words about Duan Lingtian. Their hearts trembled, and they never thought that the situation would change so suddenly. The first time we met back then, he was just a little guy with a middle-level god, but now he has already stood in a place outside the world, or even the top of the world. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have dared to dream of such an outrageous thing. At this moment, their souls are trembling. Master Duan Lingtian. The Red Devil was so frightened that he knelt down, trembling all over and trembling in his soul. No wonder this Duan Lingtian dared to go and come back today after he escaped from Scarlet Devil Ridge that year, not to send him to seek death, but to settle old scores with him. Lord Duan Lingtian, I know that what I did to you in the past will never be redeemed by death. However, I still hope that my Lord will spare my life. I am willing to follow my Lord and be your slave. After confirming that the Duan Lingtian in front of him was the Duan Lingtian in the text of the Tao of Heaven, the Red Demon was completely desperate and couldn't even raise the slightest thought of fighting back. How to fight back? He is almost at the bottom of the strongest, and the existence of the 4th level strongest can be easily killed. What can he use to fight this powerful, who is more terrifying than saints and world venerables? Boring. Duan Lingtian shook his head, but he didn't see any movement immediately. Not far away, the red demon kneeling in the void suddenly froze, and then shattered like a dream bubble. Red Devil is dead. As soon as the red demon died, those puppet centurions all showed ecstasy and knelt down on the ground at the same time, thanking Duan Lingtian repeatedly. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian, for giving me a new life. Thank you, Lord Duan Lingtian. Once the red devil died, the restraints on the puppets also disappeared. Soon more and more golems came out from all over the Red Demon Ridge, knelt down on the ground, and thanked Duan Lingtian. Many people were so excited that they burst into tears. However, Duan Lingtian has no time to go to them, just a moment after he killed the red demon, he suddenly noticed a slight movement in the sky. And then, the sky, which was originally clear and cloudless, suddenly became groggy. Countless dark clouds gathered, and purple thunder, like electric snakes, shuttled through it, as if a heavy rain was about to come. And in an instant it seemed that an invisible big hand stretched out, pushing the clouds to see the sun. The long-lost text of the Tao of Heaven reappears. Chapter 4567. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. At the same time as the words of the Tao of Heaven appeared, the dark clouds that had been fiddled with on both sides turned into a cloud of blood in an instant, and at the same time a rain of blood began to rain. At this moment, in the vast sky, except for the surrounding positions where the words of the Tao of Heaven are located, the rest of the eye-catching places are constantly pouring blood rain. And this is exactly the vision of heaven and earth that appeared after the death of the most powerful red demon. The most powerful fell, thousands of miles of blood cloud, blood rain pouring down. Not only Scarlet Demon Ridge, even a large area around Red Demon Ridge was covered by blood rain at this time. This is, the strongest has fallen. The most powerful people in the surrounding area are only the Red Devil of Red Devil Ridge. He is dead. That's the Heavenly Tao text. At first, a group of people were shocked by the vision of heaven and earth that appeared when the most powerful person fell. But soon their attention was attracted by the heavenly words that appeared after turning the clouds to see the future. The words of the Tao of Heaven are as golden as before, extremely dazzling, suspended in the sky, giving people a sense of oppression invisibly, which is awe-inspiring. From today, Tongtian Tower no longer has only one entrance. 35 new entrances to Tongtian Tower, 8 more places outside the boundary, 3 for each of the upper 3 realms, and 1 for each of the middle 18 realms. After breaking through the level, after leaving the Tongtian Tower, you will be teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms without distinction. This is the heavenly word that is now displayed in places outside the world, and even in front of everyone in the world, inside the Red Demon Ridge. Seeing the words of the Tao of Heaven, Duan Lingshan's originally calm face darkened in an instant. Although he had vaguely expected that the heavenly Tao would move in the future, and it was impossible for his master to block the way for those world venerables and saints to obtain the Tian Tao talisman. But I didn't expect it to come so fast. Heaven. With a flash of coldness in his eyes, Duan Lingtian disappeared in place out of thin air, looking for his master Feng Qingyang. All this happened too suddenly. Need to discuss with master how to deal with it. Should I just watch those people pass through the Tongtian Tower and get the amulet of Heaven's Tao, or do something to suppress them, so that as few people as possible can get the talisman of Heaven's Tao? The sudden words of the Tao of Heaven have nothing to do with most people in the outer worlds and 10,000 realms. After all, the Tongtian Pagoda is a trial place for the Tao of Heaven to be open to saints and world venerables. However, for Jiezun and Saint, this is undoubtedly great news. Jiezun from all walks of life in the upper 3 realms gathered together in the first place, in the bright light world. The burly Jesuan powerhouse, Lei Hong, swept away the haze on his face, and his face was full of red light. Everyone, what we need to do now is to find out where the 3 entrances of the Tongtian Tower are located in our Mingguang realm. Whoever finds it first, pass it on to others. We must enter the Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. It's too late to change. Who knows, will Feng Qingyang, after seeing the words of the Heavenly Tao this time, hate the Heavenly Tao, become angry from embarrassment, and go directly to the Mingguang realm to attack us. Hearing Lei Hong's words, the rest of the world masters in the Mingguang realm also showed serious expressions, thinking that Lei Hong's words made sense. In the Mingguang realm, there must be an existence that surpasses the world venerable, otherwise wouldn't we have to rely on others all the time? Everyone looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is urgent. I will go first. When a group of Jesuan from the Mingguang realm began to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in various places in the Mingguang realm, Jesuan from the other 2 realms of the upper 3 realms were also in action. They all want to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. In addition, they were all worried that Feng Qingyang would run over and attack them. Even if they didn't plan to enter Tongtian Tower for the time being, they didn't stay in their old lair. They planned to hide after helping others find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. Wait until there is an existence beyond the realm of respect in the realm where you are, and then come out. Those who can live up to now and have the strength of a world venerable are all human spirits, who have a thorough understanding of human nature, leaving themselves a way out. In the past, Feng Qingyang didn't attack them, maybe because he was worried that when he left Tongtian Tower and attacked some Jesuin and saints, other Jesuin and saints would take the opportunity to enter Tongtian Tower. Now, Tiandao opened the entrance of Tongtian Tower again, and there were more than 30 of them. So Feng Qingyang's plan to guard Tongtian Tower and prevent Jesuin and saints from entering failed. They put themselves in the situation. If they were Feng Qingyang, there is a high probability that they would become angry and want to destroy all the saints and world venerables in the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, preventing them from having the opportunity to step into the supreme world through the heavenly amulet rewarded in the Tongtian Tower. Strong Seventh Order. Although there are not as many world lords in the middle 18 realms as there are in the upper 3 realms, most realms have more or less 1 or 2 world lords. Like the Nishan realm, those who clearly knew that the former Jesuin had fallen, but still played tricks, were still a minority. Certainly, even if the news of the demise of the former world venerable is exposed in the current Nishan realm, no one dares to underestimate it, because although it has lost 1 world venerable, it has 2 existences that surpass the world exalted. Those are the 2 strongest people in the world, outside the world, and even in the world. Send everyone out, and be sure to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. The world lords of the 18 realms in China gave orders one after another. At the same time, they didn't dare to stay in their lair any longer, and didn't even join the ranks of searching for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in their own realm for the time being. Instead, they walked out of their respective realms and got in touch with the other familiar Jesuin of the 18 realms. Wang Xiu, whoever finds the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first on your side, how about notifying each other as soon as possible? Haha, just what I want. Waiting for your good news. Maybe you will find it first. One by one, the Jesuin of the 18 realms reached an agreement with the familiar Jesuin and cooperated with each other to see who could find the entrance to the Tongtian Tower in their respective realms first. Most of them want to enter Tongtian Tower in the first place. The Jesuin of the middle 18 realms is different from the Jesuin of the upper 3 realms. There are strong and weak Jesuin in the upper 3 realms, and the weaker, newly promoted Jesuin feel that there is a stronger one to support them, so they can relax a little bit, don't have to fight so hard, and don't need to fight to the death. However, the Jesuin of the 18 realms in China are the pillars of their respective realms, and they all want to take another step forward and achieve supreme prestige. At that time, even if it is the upper 3 realms, they will not be afraid, for the existence of the 2 transcendents, venerables from the Nishan realm, one of the 18 realms in China, they are envious from the bottom of their hearts. Now that they have a chance, why not give it a try? Moreover, after breaking through the numerous checkpoints in the Tongtian Tower and getting the Talisman of Heaven, it is not necessary to face the taboo realm of catastrophe. When to attract the taboo realm of catastrophe depends entirely on one's own arrangement. Heaven's Tao Talisman can block the 3 taboos of heavenly calamity. I don't know if the talisman of the heavenly Tao can be given to each other. If one person holds 6 talismans of the Tao of the heavenly Tao, wouldn't it be able to block the catastrophe of the 6 realms of taboo? Chapter 4568. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. It's not just the powerful world venerables from myriad realms who are acting. Even saints from all over the world are taking action. One by one, they ordered the semi-sages of their respective forces, as well as a group of powerful people, to go out to find a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower and at the same time they left their lair. "I'm afraid of being killed by Feng Qingyang," within the area of Qingyun sacred sect. The two saints of Qingyun sacred sect, Zhao Ani and Guolin, also saw the heavenly Tao writing. At this time, Zhao Ani had already arrived at the half-holy faction under the Qingyun sacred sect, the Han family. The half-sage of the Han family, Han Jiang, is one of the two half-sages that Duan Lingtian asked him to find today. At this time, after Han Jiang came out, recognized him, and saluted him respectfully before he could make a move, he was attracted by the words of heavenly Tao. Han Jiang is an old man, dressed in brocade clothes, with a resolute face, fierce eyebrows, majestic and extraordinary, and a white beard on his face is even more fierce. However, after he saw the words of heavenly Tao, he immediately saluted Zhao Ani, who was standing not far in front of him. "Senior Zhao, congratulations, you will be able to enter the Tongtian Tower and get the heavenly Tao talisman immediately. At that time, Qingyun Holy Sect will definitely give birth to an existence that surpasses the saint." After finishing speaking, before Zhao Ani could speak, Han Jiang continued, "Senior Zhao, our Han family is willing to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower for you." However, after hearing Han Jiang's flattering words, Zhao Ani, who came back to his senses, suppressed the surprise on his face and looked at Han Jiang indifferently. This glance only made Han Jiang's heart tremble, and his heart was about to burst. What's the situation? This person, who is famous in the Qingyun sect, came to their Han's house in person today, which made him think that his ancestral grave was full of smoke, and he could let the other party come in person. But now, seeing the other party's hostility, he couldn't help being upset. "Han Jiang, do you know why I came here?" Zhao Ani stared at Han Jiang and asked indifferently, although he now has no choice but to turn around and look for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower immediately. Enter the Tongtian Tower, obtain the talisman of the heavenly Tao, and prepare for surviving the taboo realm in the future. However, thinking of Duan Lingtian, he quickly dismissed the idea. He must first do what that person told him to do. Otherwise, 3 months later, when the other party came to Qingyun's sacred sect and saw no one, what would he do if he attacked Qingyun's sacred sect in a fit of rage? Could it be that he could make a further breakthrough at that time and step into the 7th level of Xian? It's impossible to think about it. Even if you enter the Tongtian Tower, you are not guaranteed to be able to get the talisman of the heavenly Tao. At the beginning, the text of the Tao of the heavenly Tao clearly stated that Jiazun and a saint entered the Tongtian Tower, but they were only expected to get the talisman of the Tao of heaven. You don't have to get the heavenly Tao talisman. Han Jiang doesn't know. Please ask Senior Zhao to clarify. Han Jiang took a deep breath and spoke nervously. Because the Han family was far away from the Fu family, even though there was a lot of movement on the Fu family side, and 2 half-saints died in a row, the news hadn't reached his ears yet. Of course, this is also because Zhao Ani came to the Han family immediately after returning to the Qingyun sacred sect, after the Fu family's affairs were settled. Han Jiang didn't have time to get the news from there. You, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family, and what Tuoba Lianqing did, don't you know? Zhao Ani sneered, and without waiting for Han Jiang's response, he waved his hand, and a powerful force swept out, imprisoning the semi-holy Han Jiang in a blink of an eye. Then, she took Han Jiang with her and left the Han family. Whoosh! At an extremely fast speed, rushed back to Qingyun's sacred sect. After taking Han Jiang back, he will order people to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, and then he must go out himself to try to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as quickly as possible. Senior Zhao Yu, why did you imprison me? Han Jiang, who was imprisoned by Zhao Ani, completely sank in his heart. This feeling of uncontrollable life and death made him feel a little desperate. He already saw that the other party was not kind, but he still wanted to know, why did the other party treat him like this? Snort! Zhao Ani snorted coldly while walking. Didn't you hear clearly what I just said? At this time, Han Jiang had time to appreciate Zhao Enya's words just now. Just now, as soon as Zhao Enya's words fell, before he had time to react, he was taken away from Han Jiang by Zhao Ani, so that he had no time to appreciate those words carefully. Now, recalling that sentence again, the first thing he thought of was that many years ago he and Tuoba Lianqing were called away by the Mingyao semi-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, to the semi-sacred Duan Yue from the Duan family of Bibo Tianfu. Shoot and kill Duan Yue. Is it possible? This senior Zhao, is he old with that Duan Yue? Apart from this incident, he couldn't think of anything else he did with the half-sage of the Fu family and Tuoba Lianqing. That time was also the first time he saw Tuoba Lianqing. Although he had heard of the other party's name a long time ago, he didn't know him. The last time he met the other party was through the introduction of Fu Liangming, the semi-sage of the Fu family. Senior Zhao Yu, are you going to stand up for that? Yue half-sage? After Han Jiang figured this out, his face turned pale immediately, but he quickly started to save himself. Senior Mingjian, that incident was entirely caused by Fu Liangming. I owe him a favor. That time he came to me and asked me to pay him back. Let me join forces with him to deal with Yue Banqing. However, Yue Banqing died in his hands in the end. Senior, please enlighten me. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhao Ani was taken aback for a moment, then frowned and asked, Half-Saint Yu? Is there such a demi-saint within Qingyun's sacred sect? Senior, isn't that what you asked? Seeing that Zhao Ani didn't seem to know Yu Bansheng, Han Jiang couldn't help being taken aback. Yu Bansheng is the half-saint of the Duan family of the half-holy force under Bibo Tianfu, named Duan Yue. Duan Yue. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhao Ani suddenly realized, last name Duan, and that one is also surnamed Duan. I see. Han Jiang, do you know that before I went to find you, the two half-sages of the Fu family were already dead? Zhao Ani said calmly. What? Han Jiang's face changed drastically, and his eyes showed horror. Who is it? Who killed them? Hearing this, he faintly realized that Zhao Ani personally came to arrest him, and mentioned the things he, Fu Liangming, and Tuoba Lianqing did together. Most likely it was because of the death of the former Yue Bansheng. And the Fu family, like their Han family, is a semi-holy force under the Qingyun sacred sect. Zhao Ani, as one of the two great saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, and the most powerful one, not only did he not stand up for the Fu family, but also came to the Han family to arrest him? Could it be that Duan Yue is old with other saints? Thinking of this, Han Jiang felt desperate. Chapter 4569. Also, I guess he is not an ordinary saint. Thinking of this, Han Jiang became even more desperate. And the reason why he thinks this way is because Zhao Enya's status in Qingyun's sacred sect is too high. He is the number one person in Qingyun's sacred sect. If he can personally go out to capture him, how can the people behind him be ordinary saints? After 3 months, you will naturally see that person. Zhao Ani spoke calmly, not bothering to explain to Han Jiang. From the ending of the half-sage of the Fu family, it is not difficult to see that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Duan Lingtian to spare Han Jiang's life. Senior Zhao. Han Jiang was frightened to the extreme, trembling in his heart, and begged, Can you see me and even the Han family have been working hard for Qingyun Xingzong and give me a way out? If Senior is willing to give me a way out, Han Jiang will spare no effort to work for Senior in the future. He is not stupid either. The two half-sages of the Fu family are dead. If he is brought back by Zhao Ani, he will definitely have no way out, and I am afraid he can only live for 3 months at most. That was not what he wanted. Now, he only hoped that the person in front of him would spare him. In his opinion, even if the other party is a powerful saint, as long as Zhao Ani is willing to protect him, he can still be protected. After all, Zhao Ani is also a veteran saint, and saints whose strength can be seen outside the world are all top-ranked existences. Unfortunately, he never dreamed of the person who forced Zhao Ani to arrest him would be in existence above the saint. If he knew, he would never have promised Fu Liangming of the Fu family to snipe and kill Duan Yue, the half-sage of Yuyi. Zhao Ani, who ignored Han Jiang and even felt that Han Jiang was annoying, even sealed Han Jiang's mouth and consciousness, and he couldn't even transmit the sound. But at the same time, he also received a summons. It was his nephew Guolin who sent the message. Uncle, Tuoba Lianqing is not in his training ground, and at the same time I saw the text of heaven. I got some clues about the whereabouts of Tuoba Lianqing. Next, I should go to find the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first, or go to the Tuoba Lianqing. Guolin asked. The words of Heaven's Tao are related to the new entrance of Tongtian Tower, which is very important to his uncle Zhao Anlin. On the contrary, he, even a saint, is not very sure that he can pass the test of the Tongtian Tower and get the Heavenly Tao amulet. Moreover, even if he got the Heavenly Tao talisman, he could not step into the Forbidden Realm for the time being. Although his fire law has comprehended the state of Dzogchen, the Tao of the Sword has just stepped into the 6th level when he broke through to become a saint last time, and there is still a long way to go from the 7th level. If you want to step into the taboo realm, you must have a law of great perfection, a 7th level of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. This is the most basic threshold. However, although he was not in a hurry, he had to think about his uncle. You go to Tuoba Lianqing. On Zhao Enya's side, he quickly responded to Guolin. I will arrange for people to search for the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I will take Han Jiang back to the sect now. After I go back and make arrangements, I will also go out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower myself. Within 3 months, you must bring Tuoba Lianqing back to the sect. Zhao Enya's tone was extraordinarily dignified in the last sentence of the interrogation. Although I can attract the taboo realm's catastrophe at any time, if I'm not prepared, even if I have 3 heavenly talismans, I'm not very sure. Also, for the time being, I don't know how difficult it is to get the Heavenly Tao Talisman in Tongtian Tower, and I don't necessarily have to get the Heavenly Tao Talisman. We can't afford to offend Duan Lingtian. Hearing this, Guolin quickly responded that he would definitely bring Tuoba Lianqing back to Qingyun's sacred sect within 3 months. After Zhao Ani brought Han Jiang back to Qingyun's sacred sect, he immediately imprisoned him by means, and at the same time sent a semi-sacred guard who is not weaker than him. You must keep an eye on him. If he escapes, the sect may be in danger. Zhao Ani said to the half-sage he had arranged that this half-sage is his disciple and he can be completely trusted, but he still gave a serious order. Master, don't worry. Unless I die, he can't leave the sect. The half-saint respectfully responded. If he wants to escape, you can kill him, but the body must be well preserved. At least 3 months later, people can see his appearance clearly and see that he was a semi-holy before he died. Zhao Ani added a sentence, and these words fell into Han Jiang's ears, and Han Jiang's complexion became paler with fright. He knew in his heart that whether he would survive in the future would depend entirely on the mood of the saint who came to the door 3 months later. However, he is already mentally prepared, and when the time comes, he will put all the responsibility on Fu Liangming of the Fu family. He is just paying Fu Liangming a favor, and if the other party can spare his life, he is willing to be a slave for the maid. In this way, the other party may not necessarily kill him. After arranging Han Jiang, Zhao Ani began to give orders to let most of the semi-sages in the sect go out to inquire about the news of the new Tongtian Tower entrance. At the same time, he also planned to leave. However, what he didn't expect was that before he left Qingyun's sacred sect's region, there would be a strong man from outside the domain who came across the domain and directly sent a message to greet him and communicate with him. The person who came was the sage from Bibo, Tianfu, who never saw his end, and was also his old friend. Many people thought that this old guy was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. This old guy is older than him, and the last 10,000-year catastrophe almost killed him. Xiao Zhao, have you seen the text of Heaven's Tao? If you have any news about the entrance of the new Tongtian Tower, please let me know immediately. After that, everyone should remove the sound barrier. The old voice transmission reached Zhao Enya's ears. As for Zhao Ani, after hearing what the old man said, he smiled wryly. He had so many things to arrange, but he completely forgot about it. Old Meng, thanks to your reminder. Otherwise, I would have forgotten about the sound transmission barrier. In the land outside the boundary, there are not only formations to isolate the sound transmission, so that the sound transmission from the outer domain is not allowed to enter the edge of the area ruled by the major saint forces. The sound transmission on my side can't get out either. Now, the strong man in Bibo Tianfu has just crossed the region, so that he can be contacted by sound transmission. Well, if there is any news from my side, I will contact you as soon as possible. Old Meng said, Next, I will go out and look around in person to see if I can find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. There was a bit of urgency in the tone. As for the other party's urgency for the entrance to Tongtian Tower, Zhao Ani can understand. After all, if you can't go further and step into the 7th level of Xian, the next 10,000 years of catastrophe will be the death of the other party. I remember. This one in Bibo, Tianfu, the last 10,000 years tribulation was ushered in 9,000 years ago, right? No wonder you're so impatient. If there is no way to go further, he will not have 1,000 years to live. Chapter 4570. Time is ruthless. Before the Tongtian Tower appeared, even if they were as strong as saints and Jesuin, they were helpless in the face of the 10,000 years of catastrophe against the strongest, who were getting stronger every time. They could only wait for death, because they couldn't take the next step. The next step is no different from being broken. For example, Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu, who was seriously injured in the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation 9,000 years ago, survived by luck and saved his life. It took thousands of years to recover. Over the years, after recovering from his injuries, he never appeared in front of people again. Many people outside thought that he had died of serious injuries. However, none of them knew that he was making his last effort. He has a crazy plan, although this plan can be carried out even by saints and world venerables like him. Few people have the courage to carry it out. That is, before the next mortal catastrophe of 10,000 years comes. Step into the forbidden realm, face the taboo realm of catastrophe, and see if there's a chance to live to death. The catastrophe of the taboo realm has changed people's faces. In the history of the outer worlds and 10,000 realms, there are many powerful people who have faced the catastrophe of the taboo realm, but they all died miserably. No one survived the taboo realm catastrophe. Occasionally, some invincible high-ranking gods also took that crucial step, leading to taboos and catastrophes, and finally ended in death. Some people deliberately stay in the realm of high-ranking gods and want to face the weaker taboo realm of heavenly calamity, so as not to be almost dead after becoming the strongest. However, it still failed and had no way out. The Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu is actually not sure. He just wants to fight, make the last effort, and want to bloom the afterglow. If you don't fight, you are waiting to die. If you fight hard, you may die, but if you can live to death, you will be reborn from nirvana. Just like living another life. Can live who wants to die. I don't have the courage of Meng Lao for the time being. After returning to Qingyun's sacred sect and ordering the people below to put away the 4-way sound transmission barrier, Zhao Ani went on the road again, looking for other entrances to Tongtian Tower. In the previous 10,000 years tribulation, he was only slightly injured. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he is sure to survive. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he may be powerless, so he still has time. There is no urgency to step into the taboo realm, and more plans to wait and see for a while, to see if there will be a few more extreme 7th level in the land outside the world and the world. Now, there are many people who think like Zhao Ani. The most anxious person is still like the old Meng of Bibo Tianfu, who is not sure how to deal with the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. After setting off on the road, Zhao Ani received many messages from old friends, one after another, and they were all communicating with him, asking him to tell them if he found the entrance to Tongtian Tower. If they find it first, they will share it too. Zhao Ani readily agreed. To Zhao Enya's surprise, there was another summons which was also sent to him by a saint who was older than him. Xiao Zhao, if you find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, please say hello to me. The person who sent this message stepped into the Supreme Being, not much later than Meng Lao from Bibo Tianfu. The most important is, 2,000 years ago, the other party almost died under the 10,000 years calamity. Now, it is estimated that they have not recovered yet. Old Wang, your injury has healed. Zhao Ani was shocked. He never expected that this person would also come out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. He recovered from his injuries and was going to enter Tongtian Tower to get the amulet of the Tao of Heaven, and then hit the heavenly tribulation of the promotion realm. My injury is still not healed. The other party sent a message again with a somewhat helpless tone. However, another old friend of mine sent a message to ask me to pay attention to the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I am asking for directions for him. Xiao Zhao, don't worry. Even if I don't need the location of the entrance of Tongtian Tower in a hurry, I have already agreed with him. If he finds it, he should tell me, and I will let you know. He had to be helpless. The 10,000 years tribulation 2,000 years ago almost killed him. Until now, the injury has only recovered a little bit. From now on, without thousands of years, it is almost impossible to recover. Even if he now knows where the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is, he will not dare to enter the Tongtian Tower until he recovers from his injuries. He doesn't want to fall into it without getting the heavenly Tao talisman. Even if there is no fear of his life, it would be a waste of time to get the amulet of heaven, and it might aggravate his injuries. He can't take the risk. Okay, Mr. Wang. Zhao Ani suddenly realized that he thought that the other party had some kind of great opportunity to heal the severe injuries suffered in that catastrophe in such a short period of time. It turned out that it was just asking for directions for others. When Zhao Ani started to move, in the land outside the realm, almost all the saint forces have also moved. Even those saints who practiced casually also took action. Some people want to enter Tongtian Tower by themselves. Some people, it is to help others find a new entrance to Tongtian Tower. The Tongtian Tower, as before, stood above the central sea area of the outer boundary and did not leave. Here, you can still enter the Tongtian Tower. What the Tao of Heaven opens is nothing but other entrances directly leading to the interior of Tongtian Tower. Xiao Tian Dao did a really good job this time. Not only opened more than 30 entrances, but even explained that after they leave Tongtian Tower, they will be indiscriminately teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms. A cold light flashed in Feng Qingyang's eyes, and his tone was quite unfriendly. This is for them to relieve their worries. I'm afraid that if they come out from here, I will kill them. Not just Breezy. Even Duan Lingtian didn't look too good looking. He also just came back from Chimo Ridge. Before the appearance of the heavenly Tao characters, he never thought that he would come to his master again so soon. However, soon Duan Lingtian seemed to have thought of something. His face calmed down, and he smiled calmly. Master, even if the way of heaven is like this, if you think about it, you will definitely not exterminate those saints and world venerables without a reason. So you don't need to be angry. Just let them into their babble. He knew that his master was not someone who killed indiscriminately for no reason. Now that he was angry, he felt that the way of heaven was unfair, and he didn't spill his grievances on those saints and Jesuin. After all, those people are just pawns in the eyes of Tiandao. You and I, master and apprentice, have traveled all the way, faced up to the strong, and have achieved today's achievements. In this world, there are more existences that surpass saints and world venerables. For us, isn't it a spur? After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, before Feng Qingyang could speak, he received an unexpected message. The message was sent by Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu. Master Duan Lingtian, Mr. Meng of our Bibo Tianfu, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower. Now that the Heavenly Tao has added a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, I don't know if we can let him go to the main entrance of the Central Sea area. This is the first time Xiao Tianxi has contacted Duan Lingtian, who has stepped into the Xian realm, and the title has completely changed, and Duan Lingtian is respected as my lord. He is relatively familiar with Duan Lingtian, and he has also been to Nishan realm later, so he naturally knows that the strong man guarding the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, Feng Qingyang, is Duan Lingshan's master. Now, the entrances of the Tongtian Tower are blooming everywhere, and there is no news about other entrances for the time being. He wants to ask the way for their Bibo Tianfis Meng Lao, whether he can use the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower and enter the Tongtian Tower first. Chapter 4571. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. In the sound transmission, Xiao Tianxi expressed very clearly that Bibo Tianfu, the most powerful man Meng Lao, who many people don't know exists, is eager to enter the Tongtian Tower to obtain the Heavenly Tao Talisman, and he wants to fight for the second life. Regarding this old Meng, when Duan Lingtian was in Bibo Tianfu in the past, he heard people mention it. Many people thought he was dead, and some people thought he was still alive, hiding in the dark and guarding Bibo Tianfu. Now it seems that he is still alive. However, it has come to the end. At least, if the Tongtian Tower does not appear, he will not have many years to live, and he will surely die if the strongest catastrophe comes within 1,000 years. Some time ago, the Tongtian Tower appeared, and Feng Qingyang blocked the way. Although this old Meng wanted to enter the Tongtian Tower, he had no choice but to return because he was afraid of Feng Qingyang's strength. Later, when he learned that Feng Qingyang's disciple was the first Duan Lingtian who survived the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the historical segregation, and that Duan Lingtian had a relationship with Bibo Tianfu, he asked Xiao Tianxi to find Duan Lingtian, hoping that he could enter Tongtian. Tower of Opportunity. Xiao Tianxi had contacted Duan Lingtian at the time, but because Duan Lingtian was not in the outer realm in the Nishan realm, he had no way to send a message to contact Duan Lingtian. Instead, he found Feng Qingyang, but Feng Qingyang didn't buy it because he wasn't sure if the other party really had a relationship with his disciple Duan Lingtian. Let's talk about it after you contact Xiao Tian. This was Feng Qingyang's response to Xiao Tianxi at that time. Therefore, now that Duan Lingtian passed on Xiao Tianxi's message, Feng Qingyang also shook his head and smiled. The person you mentioned once came to me in the past, saying that he had an old relationship with you. Let me take it for your sake, and give him an opportunity for an elder to enter Tongtian Tower. I was worried that he was a liar, so I ignored him and asked him to contact you. Hearing Master's words, Duan Lingtian smiled. He did not expect Xiao Tianxi, the majestic master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, to be regarded as a liar by his master. Immediately afterwards, Feng Qingyang said again, "Since it is indeed someone you know, you just ask him to call his elders over. Now that there are so many new entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it is impossible for us to restrict them from entering the Tongtian Tower. I didn't think about killing people, just like you said, as a person. I can't do that kind of thing. Besides, I guard the Tongtian Tower, and I don't have any opinions on them, let alone fear that they will go further and have strength comparable to mine. In my whole life, the thing I'm most afraid of is competition. I guard the Tongtian Tower, but I am venting my dissatisfaction with the way of heaven. Why do I have to rely on myself to break through the forbidden realm and the catastrophe to achieve what I am today, but they can take shortcuts?" Hearing this, Duan Lingtian knew that after so many years, the master is still the same master, has not changed, and is not afraid of competition. But the backbone is also tough. I'll tell him. Duan Lingtian nodded and sent a message to Xiao Tianxi, Master, there is no need to be so polite between you and me, right? Isn't it a bit distant when you call adult? Just let that person come over directly. In addition, you should contact the 2 saints of Qingyun sect. Tell them that if they finish what I told them, they can also walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian thought of the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect and wanted to stimulate them, make them work harder, and work for themselves without any slack. Haha, that's not being polite. Xiao Tianzi quickly responded. My lord, I yelled out willingly. When I can catch up with you, I will change my address. Thanks. After Xiao Tianzi received Duan Lingshan's response, he immediately contacted the old Meng from Bibo Tianfu and told him that he could go directly to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, and he had already said hello there. That's how you say hello. Meng Lao was a little surprised, but at the same time he was a little more cautious. Godsend boy, is this reliable? Duan Lingtian, isn't he fishing with his master? Xiao Tianzi smiled wryly. Old Meng, even if they want to fish, they don't need to use you as a knife. You know that Lord Duan Lingtian still has the status of our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. You don't have to worry about it. For Duan Lingtian, he is still very relieved, and it is absolutely impossible to fool him on this matter. Okay, I'll go there. In fact, Mr. Meng also felt that the other party didn't need to catch him like this, but just wanted to seek peace of mind, so he asked a little more, and he immediately turned, heading towards the direction of Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. He is no stranger there. After Tongtian Pagoda appeared last time, he passed by immediately, but seeing that the Jesuin of the upper 3 realms didn't get any benefits, he could only sigh helplessly and go back. The wind is light, too strong. Can't afford it. After greeting Mr. Meng, Xiao Tianzi thought for a while and muttered to himself. Now, should the Qingyun sect also close the sound transmission barrier? As soon as he thought about it, he sent a sound transmission to an old friend of the Qingyun sacred sect, an existence of the strongest 4th rank, whose strength was close to that of a semi-sage, and his status in the Qingyun sacred sect was quite high. He greeted the other party and relayed Duan Lingshan's words. Duan Lingtian. Hearing Xiao Tianzi's message, the other party gasped. He also knew about the fact that Duan Lingtian had killed 2 half-sages of the Fu family and 1 half-sage of Qingyun sect today. At the same time, he also knew that the other party made a move to overwhelm the 2 great saints of Qingyun sect. If the other party is willing, they can use their own strength to destroy Qingyun's sacred sect. Old Xiao, are you very familiar with Duan Lingtian? The other party summoned and asked. He had not contacted this old friend for many years, and he couldn't help but be surprised when he received the other party's summons many years later. Okay. Xiao Tianzi responded, and then focused on the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Bibo Tianfu before he passed through the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity. Old Xiao, your luck is invincible to be able to have a relationship with such an existence in advance. The Qingyun sacred sect's tone was full of envy, and at the same time, thinking of something that his uncle told him today, he couldn't help asking, Old Xiao, this Lingtian is not related to the semi-sacred forces under your Qingyun sacred sect. What's the relationship with Duan Yue? Yes, half-sage. The saint of Qingyun's sect didn't know about Duan Yue's existence, but he did. Knowing that the semi-sage Hanjiang was captured and suppressed by the sect and waiting for Duan Lingtian to come over, he knew the ins and outs of the matter. So it was not difficult for him to guess that Duan Lingtian and Duan Yue had a close relationship. Duan Lingtian once entered the Duan family and was recognized as a younger brother by that half-sage Yu Yi. Xiao Tianzi replied, in the past, Duan Lingtian had specifically approached him and asked him to help take care of the Duan family, so he later learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Duan family. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Xiao Tianzi asked curiously. I see. The people on the Qingyun sacred sect side gasped, and then told Xiao Tianci what Duan Lingtian had done in the Qingyun sacred sect area today, because the news hadn't spread and Xiao Tianci hadn't had time to know. Xiao Tianci couldn't help sighing when he heard the words. It seems that he really regards Duan Yue as his god-sister. He decided to treat the Duan family more kindly in the future. Chapter 45-72. Xiao Tiancis' old friend in Qingyun sect, while chatting with Xiao Tianci, also sent a message to his uncle. His uncle was exactly the disciple of Zhao Ani, the #1 sage of the Qingyun sect. He contacted his master as soon as he got the content of Xiao Tiancis' message from his nephew. Xiao Tianci from Bibo Tianfu? Zhao Ani was looking for the entrance of the Tongtian pagoda outside, and he couldn't help being a little surprised when he suddenly received a message from his disciples. Bibo Tianfu, do you still have such a connection with Master Duan Lingtian? Bibo Tianfu, how could there be such luck? Zhao Ani was so jealous that he went crazy. However, that Lord Duan Lingtian didn't forget me and Guilin after all, and was willing to open the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda for me and Guilin. And that Lord Feng Qingyang is actually his master. The 2 7th-level Xians that appeared after the historical break came from one of the realms of the 10,000 realms, which is already shocking enough. What made him even more unexpected was that Feng Qingyang was actually Duan Lingtian's master. This news took him by surprise. At the same time, he also learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Yue half-saint Duan Yue, as well as Duan Yue's origin from the message sent by his disciples. He felt more and more that the members of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuoba Lianqing, had no eyesight, and even dared to kill such a terrifying god-sister. Guilin. Soon, Zhao Ani sent a message to Guilin, who was looking for Tuoba Lianqing, and at the same time solemnly reminded, "You don't have to worry about the Tongtian Tower. What you have to do now is to find Tuoba Lianqing as soon as possible. Are there any other clues about Tuoba Lianqing? If I need to go there, I can go there at any time." After greeting Guilin, Zhao Ani didn't intend to continue looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower, but he didn't go back to the Qingyun sacred sect, but walked towards the Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. When he arrived near Tongtian Pagoda, he happened to meet Meng Lao, the sage of Bibo Tianfu. Old Meng. After so many years, seeing this old man again, Zhao Ani couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was still young, this one was a big shot in Bibo Tianfu, and he had stepped into the realm of the strongest. This is a living fossil. Xiao Zhao. Old Meng, an old man in a Taoist robe with a fairy-like appearance and a childlike face, was also surprised when he saw Zhao Ani. Are you also going to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda? Yes. Zhao Ani nodded. I heard from my disciples that Lord Duan Lingtian authorized me and Guilin to enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower. However, I don't plan to go in for the time being. I'm planning to come over to thank Lord Duan Lingtian and pay a visit to Lord Feng Qingyang by the way. He already knew Duan Lingtian, but Feng Qingyang didn't know him yet. Although he had seen Feng Qingyang last time, he only dared to wait and see from a distance. Seeing that Jie Zun from the upper 3 realms was frightened back, he also retreated. Feng Qingyang, but like Duan Lingtian, who is above the saints and Jesuin if he has the opportunity to get acquainted, he naturally doesn't want to miss the opportunity. In a short period of time, he has not planned to enter the Tongtian Tower and plans to wait and see for a while. You must not be in a hurry. Last time, I heard that you still have the strength to spare. Elder Meng sighed with emotion, and then smiled wryly. But I'm different from you. I don't have much time. I just want to enter Tongtian Tower as soon as possible and get those 3 heavenly Dao talismans. I don't know how difficult the level in the Tongtian Tower is, but I think it's definitely not too easy. To get something, I'm afraid you have to pay some price, and you may even be injured. I want to get the heavenly Tao talisman as soon as possible, then come out to recuperate, and then step into the Forbidden Realm before the next 10,000 years of catastrophe comes. The realm of taboo is the 7th level of Xian. As long as he steps in smoothly, his strength will be greatly improved, and it will be easy to face the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. In the future, I can live for a long time. On the side of Tongtian Tower, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang are still there. Soon, Zhaoani and the two came hand in hand. You came so soon? Did someone catch you? Seeing Zhaoani, Duan Lingtian was a little surprised. He didn't expect this guy to come over so quickly. Did he already capture those 2 half-sages? Master Duan Lingtian. Zhaoani greeted him respectfully, and then said bluntly, I have already captured Han Jiang. Guilin has gone to find Tuoba Lianqing, and it won't take long to catch him. I'm not here to enter the Tongtian Tower, but mainly to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower from here. Zhaoani said, It's okay. My master doesn't plan to stay here for a long time. At most 10 days and a half months, he will leave here. Duan Lingtian said that after 10 days and a half a month, more than half of the other 35 entrances of Tongtian Tower will definitely be found, and it will be meaningless to guard here again. Qingyun Sacred Sect Zhaoani, I have met Master Feng Qingyang. Although he knew that both Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were younger than him, Zhaoani still didn't dare to neglect him, and kept saying hello respectfully. Chapter 4573. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Zhaoani stayed for a while, chatted with Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang with a shy face, and finally took his leave and left. He made it clear to Duan Lingtian that when he goes back this time, he will cooperate with his nephew, Guilin, another saint of Qingyun Sacred Sect, to find that Tuoba Lianqing. After finding out the other party, send a message to Duan Lingtian immediately. For this reason, he asked Duan Lingtian for a soul orb to facilitate communication. After Zhaoani left, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang and left here, returning to Nishan Realm. When he returned to the God-defying realm, he immediately went to the secular plane where his family and friends were housed in the past, and found his family and relatives, but many of them were no longer in the secular plane. Only his parents, his wife Li Fei, Feng Wudao, and Feng Tianhu's father and daughter remained in this secular plane. Feng Wudao went out a few days ago and is not here for now. Xiaotian, the person who announced the text of the Tao of Heaven, is really you? Isn't it the same name and surname? Seeing Duan Lingxin's return, Duan Rafeng and Li Ro were surprised and curious about it. Although they vaguely felt that it should be their son, they didn't dare to confirm it 100% before confirming it, but they all agreed that if it was their son, they should be back soon. Sure enough, he came back. Congratulations, husband. Congratulations, brother Tian. The 2 daughters, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, looked at Duan Lingtian with affection and intoxicating eyes. This is their man. With such achievements, it finally made them feel at ease. Before that, although they didn't say anything on the surface, they were unavoidably worried in their hearts. After all, the road to the strong is full of difficulties and obstacles, and what they don't know is that they are often accompanied by life and death. However, they can't help, they can only worry at home. From today onwards, you don't have to hide anymore. Duan Lingtian looked at the 2 daughters with tenderness in his eyes. Over the years, he had indeed wronged them, and he finally healed Kir smoothly. Immediately afterwards, the 4 of them asked about Kir's situation. After all, they all knew that a large part of the reason why Duan Lingtian worked so hard was to cure Kir. Kir's soul imprisonment has been lifted by Master first. After I broke through, I went to the Xiao family, the land of the gods, and then sent her into the small world inside my body. Then he sent his parents, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, into the small world inside his body, and asked them to visit his wife, Kir, who hadn't woken up yet. Kir is in good condition now. With the blessing of the divine tree of life and the divine water of purifying the world in my body, I will definitely be able to wake up in a few years at most. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, the four were relieved. Kir was the first to follow Duan Lingtian. At that time, even Duan Rafeng was still missing. She got along very well with Li Ro, as close as a mother and daughter. Li Ro breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. I'll wait for this girl to wake up. Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, who had already become sisters with Kir, also breathed a sigh of relief. Duan Rafeng, Li Ro, and his wife quickly urged Duan Lingtian to accompany Li Fei and Feng Tianwu. Now that Kir is fine, it's time to give Tianwu a title. Hearing the voice transmission from his parents, Duan Lingtian nodded secretly. A few days after returning, Feng Wudao came back. Uncle Feng. Duan Lingtian greeted him respectfully. Even though he is now very powerful, he did not ask for favors with this elder, not to mention that this elder is the father of the confidant Feng Tianwu. Even in the past, on his growth path, this elder also did not miss help. Xiao Tian. Seeing Duan Lingtian, Feng Wudao was also surprised. At the same time, he asked about the heavenly Tao text that appeared some time ago, and when he learned that it was indeed Duan Lingtian, he burst into laughter. Haha. Okay. I really didn't expect that you can go to that step, surpassing all the strong men in the world and the land outside the world. Only your master can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Feng Wudao laughed. He was really happy for Duan Lingtian. This is his future son-in-law. Is Ku'er all right? Facing Feng Wudao's inquiry, Duan Lingtian quickly responded, and at the same time changed the subject and said to Feng Wudao, Uncle Feng, what my parents mean is, recently proposed marriage to you, officially giving Tianwu a title. Hearing this, Feng Wudao was stunned for a moment, and then his smile became brighter. Okay. I'll wait for them to propose marriage. Does that girl Tianwu know? If she knows, she must be very happy. Feng Tianwu is his daughter and the only relative at present. He is naturally happy from the bottom of his heart that his daughter can find a good home. Uncle Feng. Before Duan Lingtian could continue, Feng Wudao interrupted with a smile. Xiao Tian, it's time to change your mind, right? Father-in-law. Duan Lingtian changed his words with a smile, and then told Feng Wudao about his next plan. He was going to find Xiao Mubai, the master of the Nishan realm, and others, in order to control a plane of the gods. With his current strength, he doesn't even need to risk the entire small world inside his body. He only needs to separate a small half of the small world inside his body, which is enough to turn into a plane of the gods, no smaller than the plane of the gods today. At that time, if you are willing to stay in the small world in my body and accompany me, then stay in it. If you want to take it outside, you can stay in the plane of the gods, transformed into a small world inside my body, which is absolutely safe. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Feng Wudao's eyes lit up immediately, because it also meant that he could go to the plane of the gods, which was the place he was looking forward to very much. Duan Lingtian waited for half a month. Someone is back. It was Huaner who came back. Seeing Huaner again, Duan Lingtian was very surprised. This girl was already a superior god. Seeing her return after a long journey, it was obviously because of seeing the words of the way of heaven. Phantom. Looking at the beautiful figure that he hadn't seen for many years, he called out, Brother Tian, turned into a gust of fragrant wind, and threw himself into his arms. Duan Lingshan's heart trembled, and at the same time he sighed secretly. This girl, even with the layout of the god-defying beasts in the past, she has worked very hard to get to this point. As for why she worked so hard, he naturally knew. Can't help feeling distressed. You are hurt. Soon, Duan Lingtian discovered that Huaner had internal injuries, and the injuries were serious. Even the small world in her body was fragmented and crumbling. Immediately, his expression darkened, and he asked Huaner who hurt her. Through Huaner's mouth, Duan Lingtian also knew Some time ago, when Huaner saw the Tiandao text announced by Tiandao, she immediately thought it was him. So she wanted to come back, but she happened to be targeted by someone at that time, and she managed to escape after a big fight. The other party is a descendant of a semi-holy power, a woman, and the reason why she attacked Huaner was because she felt that Huaner was wearing a veil to play tricks, so seeing Huaner was not pleasing to the eye. Chapter 4574. Duan Lingtian took out the healing elixir, gave it to Huaner, healed Huaner, and let the life god tree and Jingshi Shinshui in his body take action, and quickly recovered most of the injury. For the rest, it takes time to recover. If you think about it for a few months at most, you can restore Huaner to its heyday. During this process, Duan Lingtian also discovered a mark of divine consciousness on Huaner's body. Obviously, someone used superb soul means to put a mark on Huaner's body. If Huaner is in a place outside the border, as long as the distance is a certain distance, the opponent can lock the approximate location of Huaner. He wiped it away. Huaner, the person who hurt you is someone from a semi-holy force in the outer world. After treating Huaner, Duan Lingtian's eyes were full of anger. He hadn't been this angry for a long time. The damned person hurt Huaner to such a degree. If it weren't for the layout of the god-defying beasts, which had left some life-saving cards for the descendant of Huaner, Huaner would have died without a life this time. Brother Tian, don't rush to avenge me. You have just come back. First spend time with Uncle Feng, Aunt Ro, and Sister Fei and Sister Tianwu. Huaner was as sensible as before, but the more sensible he was, the more distressed Duan Lingtian was. It's okay, I'll take you there, and I can solve this matter within a day. With his current strength, his speed is astonishing, and it is easy to cross space. It will not take long to reach the outside world, or even cross the entire outside world. Within one day, it is enough to easily reach the other side from one side of the outer worlds. The Xuanli sect is a semi-sacred sect in the Fengshen realm, attached to the saint force Huaiyue Tianzong. Because there is not only a semi-sage in the Xuanli sect, but also a quasi-sacred, who is only one step away from the semi-sacred. So the Xuanli sect is quite valued by the Huaiyue Tianzong. At this time in the Xuanli sect, an old woman suddenly frowned, and then muttered to herself, "Someone actually removed the imprint of my divine sense that I left on that lowly maidservant. The one who shoots is either the invincible high-ranking god or the strongest. She is still very confident in her means. I really didn't expect that behind her there are such missions. I need to talk to Miss about this. Although she is not an invincible high-ranking deity, she is still a rare opponent under the invincible high-ranking deity. In addition, she has mainly studied soul means for many years, so her attainments in the soul are also extremely high. Looking at the entire outside world, she doesn't think that under the invincible high-ranking god, there is no one who has higher attainments in the soul than her. As for 10,000 realms, there may be such an existence, but it is absolutely rare." Realizing that this matter needs to be notified, she immediately went to her family's young lady, the only daughter of the deputy head of the Xuanli sect, Guiyala. "What?" Hearing the old woman's report, Guiyala, who was a little bit pretty, couldn't help frowning slightly. Behind that woman, can there be an invincible high-ranking or supreme power? Humph. So what? Do you dare to come to our Xuanli sect to seek revenge? Guiyala smiled coldly, her tone full of contempt. And she also has the capital to despise the other party. Although she is only the only daughter of the deputy suzerain, her father is only the existence of the first-level Xian, but her mysterious grandfather is the existence of the fourth-level Xian, and is recognized as a quasi-half in the Xuanli sect. Saint within 10,000 years, it is expected to step into the semi-holy realm. A pair of Xians, one of them is a semi-saint, and they are even attached to the Xuanli sect, a semi-saint power. Looking at the land outside the world and the world, how many people can provoke her? It's just a lowly maidservant playing tricks. Miss Ben told her not to play tricks, take off the veil and have a look, but she still ignored Miss Ben. This lady has grown up so much. This is the first time I have met someone who dares to disobey me like this. It's a pity that she was allowed to escape. There should be a strong person behind her. After all, the means she used to escape. Even you can't catch up. The invincible high-ranking can't give her that thing. Of course, it may also be the life-saving means that the invincible high-ranking behind her asked other powerful people to ask for. As the daughter of the strongest, she naturally knows that many powerful have recruited invincible, high-ranking gods under their command. Thinking of this, she frowned slightly and then relaxed. Even if the strongest person behind the invincible high-ranking is strong, so what? Could it be possible that he will indirectly make an enemy of our Xuanli sect for a woman? Thinking of this, the contempt ongua Yaole's mouth gradually turned into a sneer. Don't take it seriously at all. Whether it is Bibo, Tianfu, or Qingyun's sacred sect, they're all within the territory of Leishang, a land outside the boundary. Duan Lingtian had only heard of Wind Saint Realm in the past, but had never been there. After this breakthrough, he had plans to take his wife Hongyan around, at least all over the world, but he never expected that he would come to the Wind Sacred Realm in this way. Semi-holy force in the Wind Sacred Realm, the Xuanli sect? In Duan Lingshan's eyes, icy flames danced, and as soon as he thought about it, the whole body seemed to emit a cold air, giving the passers-by around a feeling that winter is coming. Certainly, Huaner around her was not affected. Duan Lingtian has not lost his mind yet. So strong. The strongest. Passers-by were shocked and speculated. This is the city Huaner came to before going back, and it was outside this city that she was sniped and almost killed. The other party claimed to be the arrogance of the Xuanli sect of the semi-sacred power who could control Huaner's life and death, and seeing that Huaner refused to talk to her, he asked his subordinates to kill her directly. Zuanlaizong has an industry in this city. It's just right. Just like the last time he went to the Fu family's residence. This time Duan Lingtian did the same thing, arresting a person in charge of the Xuanli sect's industry in the city, and asked him to lead the way to the Xuanli sect. Soon, they arrived outside the Xuanli sect. The Xuanli sect is located within a stretch of mountain ranges. According to the people he arrested, the highest mountain in the middle is the main peak of the Xuanli sect. The high-level and core disciples of the Xuanli sect are all practicing on it. Snort! Duan Lingtian snorted coldly and didn't say much nonsense. When he raised his hand, there was a palm in the air. In an instant, a gray palm print appeared on the summit of Xuanli sect Master Peak, like a cloud hanging from the sky, even more like a cloud that accumulates before the rainstorm. For a moment, the originally clear sky at the main peak of Xuanli sect suddenly became dark. The giant palm is in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Boom! As Duan Lingtian thought, he pressed it. The giant palm that shrouded the void suddenly became unreal, as if the power of space was beating, folding and swaying unceasingly, like ripples. It is more like a shocking waterfall venting down. Chapter 4575. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Everyone in the main peak of Xuanli sect was shocked. At this moment, even the weakest disciples of the Xuanli sect felt the threat of disappointment. The terrifying power shrouded in the sky made them smell like death. Boom! As soon as the commotion broke out, the palm print that covered the sky and the sun above the void roared down, and in a blink of an eye it hit the Xuanli sect's protective array that had just risen. The Xuanli sect's protective array rose up, and the translucent resplendent mask was extremely gorgeous, with colorful streamers flickering inside and outside, as if it was indestructible. Seeing this, everyone in the Xuanli sect breathed a sigh of relief, and the sect's protective array finally stopped this terrifying force. The Zongmen sect's protective array claims to be able to block the attacks of the semi-saints for half a day. I haven't seen it before, but seeing it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Many core disciples of the Xuanli sect sighed, and at the same time felt proud of being a disciple of the Xuanli sect, and their sense of security doubled. With such terrifying power, there is a high probability that the person who comes will be a demi-saint. After making this guess, most people don't care about it anymore. It's just a half-sage, and it's not like they don't have Zunlaizong, and there is even a quasi-sage, whose strength is rare under the half-sage. Only, soon, the smiles that had just risen on their faces froze in an instant, just because, in their field of vision, the translucent mask raised by the guardian array only persisted for about 1 or 2 breaths, before another series of hideous and terrifying cracks appeared. The cracks spread in all directions, and in a blink of an eye, the mask was smashed like an egg with countless cracks, and then it was shattered. Boom! There was a loud noise, earth-shattering, and at the same time the Xuanli sect's protective array shattered. The aftermath of terrifying power raged and swept down, like a cataract pouring down. Boom! Rumble! In the blink of an eye, a terrifying force, like dark clouds overwhelming the city, swept across the main peak of Xuanli sect. Which saint are you? Why did you attack my Xuanli sect? Inside the main peak of Xuanli sect, an old and unwilling roar resounded through the heaven and earth. Immediately after seeing where the sound came from, beams of light emitted, sweeping all directions, protecting a group of people, and quickly leaving the main peak. In other directions, there were also multiple figures guarding a group of people to leave the main peak. Rumble! Rumble! A total of more than 100 people ran to the main peak, and then only heard the voices of wailing and despair coming from the main peak. But soon these voices disappeared, because the power falling from the sky like a big waterfall was about to collapse in a blink of an eye. The main peak is completely covered. After bursts of loud noises, the entire world seemed to be covered in dust. After the dust cleared, the place where the Xuanli sect master peak was originally located turned into a bottomless giant pit, like an abyss. Hiss! 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 In the surrounding areas, more than 100 people who escaped under the protection of many powerful men on the main peak came to their senses at this time, and while their faces were pale, they couldn't help but gasp. Horrible! This is the power of a saint? Call! Call! At the same time, 2 figures appeared above the abyss. It was Duan Lingtian and Huaner who were brought by his side. Under Huaner's signal, Duan Lingshan's indifferent eyes fell on one of the directions. There were more than 10 people standing there. One of them was a woman. Her complexion was pale at this time, and her face was full of heart. Even, she lowered her head and stared at the abyss fearfully, temporarily not noticing Duan Lingshan's gaze, nor did she notice Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. Your Excellency, I am the suzerain of Xuanli sect, Lu Finghua. Even if you are a saint, my Xuanli sect is at least a semi-sacred sect under Huaiyue Tianzong's command. Have you greeted Huaiyue Tianzong by doing this? A tall, stern, middle-aged man, Yakong, wearing a light blue robe, walked a few steps forward, looking at Duan Lingtian with fear, but he still dared to ask in a low voice. The meaning of what he said was undoubtedly bringing out Huaiyue Tianzong to suppress the other party. Of course, he said it very tactfully, and he didn't dare to be too straightforward. After all, he still doesn't know the details of the other party, but judging from the destructive power of the other party's attack, just now, he must be a saint. As the suzerain of the Xuanli sect, he knows nothing about the sect's protective formation of his own sect. If it weren't for a saint, it would be impossible to easily defeat the guardian formation, and even raise the main peak to the ground. Just now, the half-sage of their Xuanli sect told him, through sound transmission, that when faced with the opponent's power, he also felt powerless for a while, and he only had time to take some nearby elders and disciples away from the main peak, and a message to let him and other powerful Xians lead people away from the main peak. However, there are still a few weaker powerhouses who were wiped out along with the main peak, almost when Lu Fengguo's voice fell. There was a shock in the sky. Dark clouds gathered, and then turned into blood clouds, lightning and thunder. A pouring rain of blood fell without warning, sweeping all directions, covering a large area around. This is exactly the phenomenon of heaven and earth caused by the death of the most powerful members of the Xuanli sect. In the land outside the boundary, many things can trigger some visions of heaven and earth, and even some people who have comprehended the laws to a certain level can also trigger impressive visions of heaven and earth. If you comprehend the law to the existence of the realm of lesser perfection and apply the law of lesser perfection, you can manifest the vision of heaven and earth that illuminates hundreds of thousands of miles. If the Dzogchen law wants to show the vision of heaven and earth, there will even be a vision of heaven and earth that illuminates millions of miles. Of course, after comprehending the law to the state of Dzogchen, it is already back to the basics. If it is not for oneself to show the vision intentionally, the vision will basically not appear, and it is extremely restrained. It's you, the woman who almost killed me. Duan Lingtian didn't respond to Xuanli sect master Lu Finghua, and didn't even pay attention to him. If he didn't integrate into the way of swordsmanship in that blow, just now, otherwise that one blow would be enough to destroy everyone before. No one can escape. The reason why he kept his hands back was not that he was compassionate. The other party had already bullied his woman, so why should he give the other party a way out? But he didn't want the other party to die too happily. It is also because of this that the Xuanli sect master misjudged Duan Lingtian as a saint. And before Duan Lingtian spoke, Guayala had actually come to her senses, because the old woman behind her immediately sent a message to remind her after she recognized Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. She just looked at the woman she chased and killed some time ago, and just couldn't help frowning when she heard the saint beside her speak. At this moment, she, who was looking at Duan Lingtian's eyes full of murderous intent, instantly changed her expression. Woman? This woman turned out to be the saint's woman? Her heart sank instantly. She knew that she had caused a catastrophe, and as Duan Lingtian's voice fell, and he noticed Duan Lingtian's eyes, all of the surviving people's eyes, including Xuanli sect master Lu Finghua, also fell on Guayala. Chapter 4576. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Guayala, of course they know each other. The daughter of the deputy suzerain Guiyang, the second strongest of the Xuanli sect, and the great-great-great-granddaughter of the semi-sage Guolan. In Xuanli sect, Guayala's status is even higher than that of the suzerain's only son, the young suzerain of Xuanli sect, because she has a blood relationship with the quasi-half-saint. Although the Xuanli sect still has a half-sage, the relationship between the half-sage and the suzerain is not close. It is just an ordinary relationship between master and uncle. Guolan, the quasi-half-sage, was the junior of that half-sage and was very close to that half-sage. This moment, the half-sage of Xuanli sect, Wang Tua, who had been silent all this time, was an old man who looked very kind, and his expression changed instantly. The young man in purple in front of him is a saint. He can be 100% sure of this. And now, according to the other party, the great-great-granddaughter of his junior brother Guolan almost killed the other party's woman? Dare to kill a saint's woman? Even if he is a half-saint, his head is not so strong. Sensing Wang Tenjiu's eyes of hating iron and steel, Guolan, who was also looking back at his great-great-granddaughter, changed his face instantly. Just now, no matter whether it was Guayala, the great-great-granddaughter, or his great-grandson, Guiyang, the deputy suzerain of Xuanli sect and others, he took them away from the main peak. If he hadn't shot, these people wouldn't have been able to escape just now. Dear Saint, is there some misunderstanding? I believe, my daughter, I don't have the guts to target those around you. As Guayala's father, Guiyang was so scared that his face turned pale at this time. He looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a trembling tone and soul, Misunderstand. Duan Lingtian glanced at Guoyang lightly. You are her father, the deputy lord of Xuanli sect? Is it a misunderstanding? Just ask your daughter? Hearing this, Guoyang immediately looked at his daughter, his eyes filled with deep pain and despair. He knew that his daughter would definitely not survive today. At this moment, Guayala also came back to her senses from a brief moment of trance. Noticing the hatred eyes sweeping around her, her face became paler. It turned out to be this woman. Even the people around the saint want to kill. Why doesn't she go to heaven? It's okay to be arrogant and domineering inside the sect, but how dare you do it outside? It's okay now, have you kicked the iron plate? It's a pity that so many senior brothers were killed by her. She deserves to be cut to pieces. The surviving group of elders and disciples of the Xuanli sect also hated Guayala very much through voice transmission. However, they were afraid of Guayala's grandfather Xian, the second strongest of their Xuanli sect, quasi-half Saint Guolan, so they only dared to transmit their hatred, but did not dare to speak out. However, their gazes on Guayala were like knives and swords, wishing to crush each other to ashes. Guayala came back to her senses and realized the hatred of the world towards her, and even her father, grandfather Xian, who she relied on as her backer, seemed to have given up on herself at this time. Her face changed suddenly, and after a change in her gaze, she knelt down facing the direction of the young man in purple and the woman in white in front of her. Dear sage, I offended the people around you because I had no eyes and no eyes. I also hope that the sage will have a lot of people and treat me like a fart. Guayala's tone trembled. Her fear reached the extreme, and she was so frightened that she almost lost control of herself. She never expected that a woman she hadn't taken seriously a while ago suddenly became someone she needed to look up to and not to be provoked. Saint's woman, is this something she can afford? She knows very well that even if there is a saint sect, Huaiyue Tianzong, above the Xuanli sect behind her, it is impossible to have a grudge with a saint because of her. What's more, if there is a strong person present on Huaiyue Tianzong's side now, knowing that she has brought such a disaster to Zunlaizong, they may directly kill her and express Huaiyue Tianzong's respect for this in front of the saint, in front of him. Attitude towards the matter. However, when he noticed the murderous intent rising in Duan Lingxian's eyes, Guayala also seemed to realize that the other party could not let her off. When she was in despair, she quickly turned around and kowtowed to her father and grandfather Xian. Father! Grandfather Xian! Save me! Help me! Behind our Xuanli sect is the Huaiyue Tianzong, and the Huaiyue Tianzong also has saints. You can save me. You can save me. At the critical moment of life and death, Guayala seemed to have grasped the last straw, begging her father and grandfather Xian hard. At this moment, she almost lost her mind. Guoyang and Guolan's expressions completely changed when they heard Guayala's words. Damn girl, haven't you understood the current situation? The other party obviously wants her life. She is like this now. Is she trying to harm them, Xian Lizong? After knowing what Guayala had done, facing the powerful saints not far away, whether it was Guolan or Guoyang, his biological father, they had actually given up on Guayala. Laugh! With a sneer, a terrifying force of space suddenly appeared around Guoyang and Guolan. When Guolan's face changed drastically and Guoyang didn't notice, their bodies and souls exploded without warning. The rain of blood scattered all over the sky, splashing Guayala's face. Huaiyue Tianzong. Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. Today, in front of me, Duan Lingtian, not to mention the Huaiyue Tianzong. Even if all the saints in the Wind Sacred Realm join forces, they will not be able to protect you. As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, the dissatisfaction with Xuanli sect semi-sage Wang, who had just been dissatisfied because of his junior brother Guolan's killing, disappeared in an instant. When looking at Duan Lingtian again, the pair of childish eyes stared round and subconsciously asked in a trembling voice, You are Lord Duan Lingtian. He's numb. Never thought that the strong man Gua Yala provoked would be such an existence. I thought it was a saint, but I didn't expect it to be a more terrifying Buddha, beyond the existence of saints. Following Wang Tenjia's outrageous questioning, the people present at the Xuanli sect also came back to their senses after a short period of silence, and their faces were pale with shock. Lu Finghua, the head of the Xuanli sect, felt powerless in his heart. After knowing who the opponent was, he knew very well that even if the opponent wiped out the entire Xuanli sect, Huayue Tianzong would not be able to stand up for the Xuanli sect. Lord Duan Lingtian? He is the second strong man who surpassed the saint? Duan Lingtian? A powerhouse beyond a saint who is as famous as Feng Qingyang? Guo Yaola, a bitch, dares to provoke people around Lord Duan Lingtian? He also dragged down our Xuanli sect. He deserves death. Everyone in the Xuanli sect was shocked by Duan Lingtian's identity, and at the same time cursed Guo Yaola one after another. Now, Guo Yaola's two major backers are gone, and they have no worries. Boom! 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 Suddenly, Lu Finghua, the suzerain of Xuanli sect, struck like lightning, killing the old woman beside Guo Yaola and all other people of Guo Yaola's lineage. Guo Yaola was left alone. Lord Duan Lingtian, I, Lu Finghua, as the head of the Xuanli sect, hereby announce that Guo Yaola will be expelled from the Xuanli sect. From this moment on, Guo Yaola will no longer be a disciple of my Xuanli sect. Because I don't know if you want to kill her yourself, my lord, so I didn't touch her. If your lord wants me to do it for you, I will make her leave the world in the most painful way. Lu Fengguo's tone was full of hatred. A woman killed so many people in their Xuanli sect. Even if he cut him into pieces, the hatred in his heart would not be quenched. Chapter 4577. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. For Duan Lingtian's identity, Lu Finghua had no doubts. What a joke! In today's world, which saint doesn't know how terrible Duan Lingtian is? Who dares to impersonate him? Are you courting death? Moreover, Duan Lingtian's method of killing Guoyang and Guolan just now was mysterious and unpredictable. He exchanged a few words with Tingyue, the semi-sage king of Xuanli sect. Even if it was the other party, he didn't notice Duan Lingtian's attack. According to Wang Tenjia's words, even if the saint made a move, he would not be unaware of it. It can be seen that this young man in purple is undoubtedly Duan Lingtian. Phantom. Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Finghua, but looked at Huaner beside him. His eyes were full of tenderness. How do you want to deal with her? Before Huaner could speak, Guo Yaola on the other side seemed to have regained some sense and growled, Why are you imprisoning me? I don't want to die. After hearing Lu Fengguo's statement in front of Duan Lingtian, Guo Yaola also realized that she would definitely die today and immediately planned to commit suicide, fearing that she would suffer all kinds of torture if she didn't die, so she might as well give herself a happy one. However, she soon discovered that there was a force covering her body, suppressing her power, imprisoning her body 9 out of 10, making it difficult for her to commit suicide. The tongue is not imprisoned and can speak, but she is still a god. Even if she bites off her tongue, it is only a minor injury, and it is impossible to die. Brother Tian, you can deal with it as you see fit. Huaner responded to Duan Lingtian softly with a look of husband and wife. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded, then looked at Lu Finghua and said calmly, In that case, I will leave it to you. He felt that Lu Finghua would be more intimate to send Guo Yaola a ride than him doing it himself. I'll give you 1 month. Within 1 month, she must die. If she is not dead by then, I will come to Zunlaizong to look for you again. After finishing the words, he swept out his consciousness and extracted a wisp of Guo Yaola's soul breath to judge whether she was really killed by Lu Finghua behind her. although he couldn't see that Lu Fengguo's statement just now was a fraudulent element. But he didn't fully trust the other party either. Now, extracting a ray of Gua Yaola's soul breath is enough to confirm whether Lu Finghua will really kill Gua Yaola as he said. Lord Duan Lingtian, don't worry. When Lu Finghua faced Duan Lingtian, he was very respectful. Halfway through the speech, he glanced at Gua Yaola, who showed despair, and then continued, I will definitely send her on the road. Lu Finghua bit down on the word good very hard. For this person who killed so many people in their Xuanli sect, and even killed the two most powerful members of the Xuanli sect, he only wished to cut him into pieces. Duan Lingtian greeted Huaner and took Huaner away. This time, it is not without other gains. Although Guiyang and Guolan's rings have self-destructed, Guolan, a quasi-half-saint, still left behind a supreme godhead. Previously, Duan Lingtian killed 2 semi-sages of the Fu family and also obtained 2 supreme godheads. As for Guiyang and the red demon who died in his hands not long ago, because his strength was too weak and his comprehension of the law was too shallow, so that he did not condense the supreme godhead at all. The godhead of the strongest is of little use to him now. However, for his family it is a rare treasure. He intends to divide the Supreme Being's Godhead after he settles his family. Of course, it will not be enough for the time being, but he can find someone to borrow it. Not many people died in his hands who condensed the Supreme Godhead, so there are not many Supreme Godheads in his hands. However, it can be borrowed from other semi-saints and saints. Of course, he didn't intend to borrow from someone he didn't know well, and he owed them favors for nothing. You can borrow it from the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. I think they will not refuse. After all, I kept my hands on them earlier. Duan Lingtian secretly thought. In addition, he can also borrow it from a few half-step world venerables, including Xiao Mubai in the Nishan realm, or he can borrow it from Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu in the Thunder sacred realm outside the realm. The godhead of the strongest person is not only able to be borne by half-saints, even some weaker, strongest people can also be condensed. Those who comprehend the law to a certain degree of perfection can condense the supreme godhead. And if they get it, they can use the law of evolution. In the past, a large part of the reason why Duan Lingshan's space law was so fast was that he had the supreme godhead left behind after the death of the supreme being who was good at space law. I hope Lu Finghua won't disappoint me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending him on the road in a month. Gua Yaola bullied Huaner, and he didn't want him to die too happily, so he planned to use Lu Fengguo's hand to send Gua Yaola on the road. Now he has extracted a wisp of Gua Yaola's soul breath. As long as the other party dies, he will be able to sense it immediately, not afraid that Lu Finghua would secretly let Gua Yaola go. What's more, when he left Gua Yaola's soul breath, he also left a soul imprint on Gua Yaola's body. As long as the other party appeared in the same world as him, or in a place outside the world, he could be the first time is aware of the imprint of the soul, so as to quickly confirm the location of the other party. Taking Huaner back to the secular plane where his family and friends are, Duan Lingtian left behind a clone of the law, waiting for the rest of his family and friends to return. His family, relatives, and friends in the secular plane all entered the small world inside his body and were taken away by him. Lord Xiao. Duan Lingtian went to find Xiao Mubai and explained his purpose. Lord Duan Lingtian, you are willing to set aside part of the small world in your body as the plane of the gods in the God-defying realm, which is naturally a great thing for the God-defying realm. In this way, the protective formation of the God-defying realm will become even more unbreakable. How about, my lord, you have family members in the land of the gods, and I will ask the owner of the land of the gods to transfer everything in the land of the gods, except his sacred tree of life, to the small world in your body. How about making the small world in your body a new place of God's legacy? Of course, if you don't want to keep the name of the land of the gods, but you want to change the name of the small world in your body that you set aside to serve as the plane of the gods. That's fine. Xiao Mubai said. For Xiao Mubai's respect for him, Duan Lingtian is actually not used to it. After all, this person has helped him a lot in the past, and he accepts the other party's love. However, the other party was still unwilling to change his words, and he still couldn't let go, and he couldn't help it. There's no need to change the name. Just continue to call it Land of the Gods. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, At the same time, I also feel that Xiao Mubai has arranged a place for him, so that the Xia family behind Kir will also be moved to the small world in his body that he left behind. Chapter 4578. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Separating a part of the small world in the body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm will not have much impact on Duan Lingtian himself. He was even able to use this part of the small world in his body that was separated to make the small world in his body unique, teleporting back to the god-defying realm from the outside. It is impossible to divide a part of the small world in the body at ordinary times, because after being separated it is like a rootless duckweed, which cannot last for too long. Unlike after becoming the plane of the gods of the Nishan realm, which is connected to the Nishan realm, it can exist stably by absorbing the power of the realm of the Nishan realm. There is a gap between each realm of the 10,000 realms, and the same goes for the land outside the realm. There is no way to send a message across borders. Duan Lingtian had to tear apart the space before returning to the god-defying realm, and it would take a while. Even if it wasn't for a long time, he couldn't come back in an instant. And once the small world in his body becomes one of the eyes of the great formation of the god-defying realm, he can come back at any time. It can also be regarded as guarding family, relatives, and friends in disguise, guarding against the god realm. Even if his true self is outside, there is no need to worry too much. Come back anytime. I asked several other senior world masters to come and help. After all, it is not a small project to transfer everything in the land of the gods to the small world in your body. Xiao Mubai said, Good. Duan Lingtian nodded in response. After parting from Xiao Mubai, he went to the Xiao family, the land left by the gods, and found Xiajie, the third master of the Xiao family, and Xiaoyu, the head of the Xiao family, and talked about it. On the Xia family's side, even the most powerful man in the back is very supportive of moving the family to Duan Lingshan's inner world. After all, this is an existence beyond the world venerable. For the Xia family, in fact, as long as they are in the plane of the gods, the small world in anyone's body is similar. But if they can go to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body, it is naturally a great thing. Xiao Tian, Xiajie, unlike his elder brother Xiaoyu, became a little more uneasy in front of Duan Lingtian after Duan Lingtian became stronger, and he was as casual as before. For this matter, he also began to help Duan Lingtian analyze. If the news that everything on the land of the gods has migrated to the small world in your body spreads, I am afraid that people from other planes of the gods will rush to the land of the gods. After all, the plane of the gods that transcends the small world inside the saint's body is too attractive to people who don't care much about other planes of the gods. So I suggest that even if the land of the gods is to be migrated, it is best not to reveal too much information, and it is best not to let people know that it is migrating to the small world inside your body. Xiajie said. Before Duan Lingtian opened his mouth, Xiaoyu also nodded and agreed. This matter is really not a small problem. Although there are more people in the land of the gods, it's nothing, but it's not a good thing for other gods. At that time, the planes of the gods will probably be extremely unbalanced. Hearing Xiajie and Xiaoye's words, Duan Lingtian pondered for a while and felt that this matter was no small matter. Once people from other planes of the gods get together and run to the land of the gods, it will have little impact on him, but it will have a great impact on other planes of the gods. First of all kinds of transactions, that is, the economy may stagnate a lot. The population loss is too serious, which is an inevitable consequence. Let me talk to World Master Xiao. Duan Lingtian contacted Xiao Mubai immediately and relayed Xiaojie's words. When Xiao Mubai heard Xiaojie's words, his tone became a lot more dignified, and he felt that what he said made sense. It's best not to make public the small world in whose body the land of the gods was migrated to. Just talking about migrating to the Nishan realm, the small world inside the body of another supreme power will do. In this way, this matter will be resolved. Next, under the auspices and arrangements of Xiao Mubai and other semi-holy world lords, the original land of the gods began to migrate while leaving the big formation of the realm, and the small part of the small world in the body that Duan Lingtian allocated while merging with the large formation of the anti-god realm, accepts the migration from the land of the gods at the same time. The original land of the gods, except for the place where the Tree of Life is located, the rest of the place was completely leveled, and everything was completely migrated to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body. Even the people inside are together. The whole process went very smoothly and did not cause much panic. After all, for everyone on the land of the gods, this doesn't have much impact on them. It's just a change of plane, and everything they have has not disappeared. In order for the land of the gods to migrate perfectly, the small world in Duan Lingshan's body is the same as the original land of the gods. There was a small episode in the middle. That is, the original owner of the gods' remains land, a powerhouse against the god realm, decided to take root in a new gods' remains land after knowing that the gods' remains land would be migrated to Duan Lingshan's internal small world. Zhong Li Pai fulfills the wishes of the past. Back then, he had the wish to establish a sect, but before he realized it, he was arrested by Xiao Mubai like a strong man, and he was arrested to dominate a plane of gods. In half a month, half of the land left by the gods was successfully migrated. At this time, Duan Lingshan's master, Feng Qingyang, also returned from the outside world. In half a month, not only all the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the outer realm were found, but even the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the upper 3 realms and the middle 18 realms were found. At this time, it doesn't make sense for him to continue guarding the Tongtian Tower. After returning, Feng Qingyang found out about the migration of the land of the gods and joined the helping army for a while, so that the land of the gods successfully completed the migration within the next half-month. It is naturally much more efficient for an existence above a saint to help. In less than a month, the migration to the land of the gods was completed. The branches of the godly tree of life should be planted in Xiao's house. Because it is a small world separated from the body, there's no tree of life there, and the plane of the gods is in the world of the gods, so they need to rely on the power of the tree of life and the realm of the world of the gods to resonate, so as to protect the gods together, therefore. Duan Lingtian made a branch of the divine tree of life and planted it in the small world within the body that was separated, that is, in the new land of the gods. Wow. Crash! The branches of the godly tree of life took root in Xiao's family, and in just a few days it grew into a towering tree. After Duan Lingtian stepped into the strongest 7th stage, the divine tree of life, which was a small world in his body, also experienced many transformations and became extremely powerful. Therefore, in just a few days, it allowed its clone in the new land of the gods to grow up to the point where it was not weaker than the tree of life in the body of ordinary superpowers. Since then, the new land of the gods has been on the right track, and everyone on this land was only surprised for a few days before adapting to the unchanged surrounding environment, and even once mistakenly thought that they had never left the original land of the gods, died. On this day, Duan Lingtian, who was discussing the 4 ways of the world with Xiao Mubai, suddenly frowned, and the ray of soul breath he had drawn in the past dissipated. That Lu Finghua, it seems that he really hates that woman. It actually tortured her for a whole month. Guoyaola, the woman who almost killed Huaner not long ago, died. Chapter 4579. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Duan Lingtian was thinking this morning that if Guoyaola hadn't died in a few days, he would go to another place outside the boundary, to go to the Xuanli sect of the Wind Sacred Realm for liquidation. Unexpectedly, Guiyala died at the end of the month. It just happened to be stuck in the time he gave to Xuanli sect master Lu Finghua. Lord Duan Lingtian, listening to your words is better than my 1,000 years of penance. After Xiao Mubai communicated with Duan Lingtian for a while, he couldn't help expressing emotion, and at the same time his gaze was particularly complicated. Once upon a time, this one needed his help and gave him treasures to assist in his cultivation. He was one of the few young arrogances he valued most in the past. He placed high hopes on the other party. He felt that the other party might be the future hope of the God-defying realm. Unexpectedly, in just a few years, the other party suddenly had a shocking achievement. As soon as he entered Xi'an, he stepped into the Xi'an 7th level and surpassed him. Even the father he regarded as an idol in the past, the former strongman of the God-defying realm, who fell under the catastrophe of 10,000 years, did not reach the current height of the other party. Lord Xiao, I will never forget the help you gave me in the past. This time I borrowed a lot of your godhead from the most powerful, and I also accept your favor. If you need help with anything in the future, just ask. For Xiao Mubai, Duan Lingtian is grateful from the bottom of his heart. After all, the other party has indeed helped him a lot in his growth. Not to mention anything else. Just talking about the pool of Shen Yunquan saved him from taking many detours on the road of cultivation. Don't worry, I won't be polite to you. Xiao Mubai also shook his head and smiled when he heard the words. His eyes were rather complicated. In fact, Duan Lingtian is not the only rising star he values, but also Feng Qingyang and Duan Lingshan's senior sister in the inner palace of Wanfa Academy. During this period of time, he often sighed in his heart. He had never felt that his vision was so poisonous. Among the people he valued, there were actually two existences beyond the realm. They can be called the strongest two in the world at present. At the moment, there is one thing that I want to trouble you and your master. Duan Lingtian and Xiao Mubai helped some people in the past, and it was considered a good relationship. But he had no direct contact with Feng Qingyang, so he needed Duan Lingshan's help. Master Xiao, feel free to speak as long as I can. I will try my best to convince my master. Duan Lingtian said. He didn't guarantee it. After all, he didn't know what the other party wanted him and his master to do. In addition, if it was an ordinary matter, his master would not be able to refuse for his sake. It's not difficult at all, but it's a little troublesome for you, Mr. Feng Qingyang. While talking, Xiao Mubai said what he wanted to ask Duan Lingtian and his disciples to do. Instead, they asked Duan Lingtian to give 2 lessons to all the most powerful people in the Nishan realm, and talk about their insights and comprehensions in the way of swordsmanship. If it is convenient, I hope they can practice the way of swordsmanship in public. Whether it is Duan Lingtian or Feng Qingyang, their achievements in swordsmanship have reached the 7th level or higher, and they can be called the number 1 or 2 in the world. If it's convenient for you, you can also explain the other ways of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. Xiao Mubai added, the reason for such a supplement is naturally because, talking about the 4 ways of heaven and earth with Duan Lingtian just now, he found that Duan Lingtian is not only extremely accomplished in the way of swordsmanship, but also has extremely high attainments in the way of control and the way of infinity. Of course, he didn't know that the reason why Duan Lingtian was so defying the sky was because he accepted all the memories of the super-strong old man Mukong before the historical partition. You must know that during his lifetime, Old Man Wukong not only comprehended the law of space, law of life, and law of death to the realm of Dzogchen, he also comprehended the way of swords to the 9th level, which is the way of control and the way of infinity, and he also comprehended to the 8th level, order. The Old Man Wukong in the past was a strong 9th level powerhouse. According to the memory of the Old Man Wukong, if he can comprehend both the way of control and the way of infinity to the 8th level, he will hopefully go further and maybe even be able to compete with the way of heaven. Of course, speaking of standing shoulder to shoulder with the Tao of heaven means not being afraid of the Tao of heaven. For example, restart heaven and earth without fear of heaven? The Tao of heaven cannot attack people directly, but it can use rules to deal with all living beings, such as controlling the chessboard, using all living beings as pawns, aloof and invincible. That's all. Duan Lingtian originally thought that there was something embarrassing for Xiao Mubai and asked him and his master to help, but he didn't expect it to be such a small matter. I can't do anything about this, so I can promise you, World Master Xiao now. However, on my master's side, I still want to say hello to him. Although Duan Lingtian felt that his master would definitely not refuse this matter. After all, it was not a difficult thing, and even his master had inherited a lot of favor from the former supreme power against the god realm, Time Sword. Nowadays, many of the most powerful people in the god-defying realm have a good relationship with Shiguang's sword back then, and even have 1 or 2 descendants of Shiguang's sword. Good. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Xiao Mubai immediately smiled with satisfaction. The reason why he made such a request was because he hoped that the other strongest members of the god-defying realm could reach a higher level. I have done everything I can. Whether you can seize the opportunity and skyrocket in the future depends on your own talent and understanding. Xiao Mubai said silently in his heart. As the leader of the Nishan realm, Xiao Mubai naturally hoped that the Nishan realm would have more powerful people, and it was impossible to completely rely on Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. Even if it is him, the reason why he came to Duan Lingtian to talk about the 4 ways of heaven and earth this time is because he wants to go a step further, step into the 6th level of Xian, and break through to become a Jesuin. He is very close to Jesuin, and he has only missed a step in the door for many years. But it is this step in the door that has been unable to pass for a long time. However, after Duan Lingtian's guidance this time, and the fact that Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang will preach together for the most powerful people in the god-defying realm, he feels that he should be able to take a crucial step and catch up with his father in the past, become a world respected. After separating from Duan Lingtian, Xiao Mubai was not in a hurry to inform others. Knowing that Duan Lingtian sent a message to him the next day saying that Feng Qingyang agreed to this matter, he sent a message to the other strongest people in the god-defying realm except Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, and then held a meeting of the strongest. Tell this matter to all the strongest. For a time, all the Xians were ecstatic. Boundary Master, awesome. This time, you have done a great favor for the big guy. Haha. Thank you, World Master. I am not far from the 4th level of Xian. This time, after listening to Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang, I should be able to go 1 step further. At this moment, among the Xians present, even a few who were reluctant to come to the meeting, they were all glad that they had come, or they might have missed it. Chapter 4580. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. A few days later, at Xiao Mubai's request, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang gave a public lecture to the most powerful people in the god-defying realm. The place of preaching is in the new land of the gods. Certainly, the new land of the gods is about the small world in Duan Lingtian's body. Few people know about it. Among the most powerful people against the god realm, there are only Xiao Mubai and other semi-holy world masters, and the most powerful person from the Xiao family, or the owner of the land of the old gods knows. The rest of the Xians don't know about it. And the preaching location was arranged in the land left by the gods, and these powerhouses only thought it was because the Xia family was in the land left by the gods. They all know that the daughter of the Xia family, Xianing Xue, is Duan Lingtian's wife. Everyone, it's really early. Now, there is still an hour before the sermon begins. You are coming too early, right? An old man with a slightly fat body smiled and greeted a few acquaintances who had gathered together to chat. He was amazed at the early arrival of the few people. He originally thought that he had come early enough. Good guy. The others came earlier than him. Master Duan Lingtian and Master Feng Qingyang are preaching. Can you come earlier? After this time, I don't know if there will be another chance in the future. I came 2 hours ago. A middle-aged man laughed. "TSK, TSK. Isn't that the most powerful member of the Yun family in the land of the gods? I remember that the young master of the Yun family, Yun Qingyan, had a very unpleasant quarrel with Duan Lingtian." A young man looked at the old man standing alone not far away, raised his eyebrows slightly, and was very surprised. He didn't expect the other party to have the courage to come. The most powerful member of the Yun family is the only contemporary member of the Yun family, and he is also the ancestor of the Yun family. In the past, the head of the Yun family, Yun Qingyan's father, wanted him to take action and plunder Duan Lingshan's Shenyangquan. But because he knew that Shenyangquan was given by the world lord Xiao Mubai, he didn't have the guts to fight for it, and he didn't even dare to fight for it. He easily offended Duan Lingtian, so he ignored the head of the Yun family. That little really hurt me a lot. Standing there, the patriarch of the Yun family could easily feel the estrangement from the group of powerful people around him. He was even isolated many years ago, when Duan Lingshan's master, Feng Qingyang, became a historical barrier and the first extreme 7th-level powerhouse. Above Jizan's heavenly words appeared, a group of superpowers from the Nishan realm. After knowing him after the conflict between the Yun family and Duan Lingtian in the past, they distanced themselves from him one after another. Some old friends from the past have also begun to stop interacting with him. They are all worried that Feng Qingyang will help Duan Lingtian in the future. Liquidate the Yun family, liquidate him, and Qi will suffer. At that time, he had actually thought about whether it was time to leave the God-defying realm and go somewhere outside the realm. However, in the end, he still had no intention of leaving. He couldn't abandon the Yun family. Even when he took over as the head of the Yun family many years ago, he promised his grandfather that he would protect the Yun family well throughout his life, and that he would live and die with the Yun family. So he didn't leave. Moreover, he is not guilty about what happened to Yun Qingyan back then, because he did not listen to the one-sided words of Yun Qingyan's father, who is also the current patriarch of the Yun family, and did not do anything that was unfavorable to Duan Lingtian. Even Yun Qingyan was expelled from the Yun family by him. I really didn't expect that not only Duan Lingshan's master took that step, but he also took that step. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. At the same time, he hated Yun Qingyan more and more. It's nothing. What is he doing to provoke the daughter of the Xia family? Isn't this bringing trouble to the Yun family? At this time, whispers from the most powerful came to his ears one after another. This Yun Gufeng, this time it really has become a solitary peak. If Master Duan Lingtian wants to settle with him, he will definitely die, and the Yun family will not escape. Yun Gufeng is actually a nice person. I helped him once back then, and he always took it to heart, and he helped me a lot later. But it's a pity that the younger generation of the Yun family didn't live up to their expectations and offended Lord Duan Lingtian. In order to avoid getting hurt by Qiyu, you can only stay away from him. Understood. Now, who dares to get close to him easily? About half an hour later, Xiao Mubai and several other semi-saint powerhouses from the Nishan realm also came from a distance. Mubai, thanks to you this time, we old fellows can also enjoy the glory and listen to the lectures of the two adults. Yes, Mubai boy, I really want to thank you for this matter. If you hadn't spoken up, those two adults might not be willing to preach for us. Several semi-holy powerhouses looked at Xiao Mubai, and their words were full of gratitude. They are much older than Xiao Mubai, and even in the last 10,000 years' calamity, they were more or less injured. If there are only a few more steps, and you can't step into the boundary, venerable realm, even if you survive the next 10,000 years' tribulation, you will definitely die the next time. This time, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang openly lectured for the most powerful people in the God-defying realm, which can be said to have given them the hope of a breakthrough. Although it is not 100% able to break through this lesson, it is definitely much better than crossing the river by feeling the stones by themselves. Seniors, you don't have to be polite. This is what I should do. I hope that the seniors can gain something this time, so that we can produce a few more powerful world venerables from the God-defying realm. Xiao Mubai said repeatedly. Soon, a few people came to the place agreed by Xiao Mubai and Duan Lingtian to start the lecture, in a vast valley behind the continuous mountains behind the Xia family residence. In the valley, the green shade is lush, the birds are singing, and the flowers are fragrant, just like a paradise. As soon as they arrived at the scene, a group of powerful people against the god realm in the valley immediately saluted them respectfully. I have seen World Lord Xiao and several world lords. I have seen a few world masters. Xiao Mubai and the others are the strongest existences in Nishan realm, except for Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. They are all semi-saints, and they are respected both in the past and now. You guys are really early. An old man with a white beard beside Xiao Mubai laughed and said his words were very casual without any airs. Now he can't stand the airs anymore. In the past, he was regarded as the sealing powerhouse of the God-defying realm. But now, the new sealing powerhouse of the God-defying realm is enough to crush him to death with one finger. Another half-hour passed. Two figures came hand in hand. It was Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. I have met Lord Duan Lingtian. I have seen Mr. Feng Qingyang, headed by Xiao Mubai and several other world lords. A group of the most powerful people in the anti-god world respectfully saluted Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang. And after everyone saluted, a figure rushed towards Duan Lingtian without any warning, at an extremely fast speed. Yun Gufeng, what do you want to do? Xiao Mubai flickered, blocked the other party's way, and stared at the other party with a gloomy expression. Chapter 4581. Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. What's more, at this moment, Xiao Mubai stared at Yun Gufeng in the depths of his gaze, with a faint killing, intent beating. Today is the day when Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang start their lectures, and for the most powerful people in the God-defying realm present, it is an opportunity that can only be met but not sought after. He does not allow any accidents to happen. Xiao. Yun Gufeng paused, looked at Xiao Mubai, who was blocking the way, with a wry smile on his face. Just as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by shouts of shouts. Yun Gufeng, what do you want to do? If you don't want to listen to the sermons of the two adults, get out. Yun Gufeng, if you dare to offend the two adults, you should take the Yun family out of the God-defying realm. You and your family are not welcome in the God-defying realm. Yun Gufeng, Master Duan Lingtian hasn't settled with you yet, but you jumped out first? You are not a coward. Although Yun Gufeng's strength is not at the bottom among the most powerful people in the Nishan realm, it is only in the middle and lower reaches, and there are many people in the Nishan realm who can handle him. Now, except for the strongest people who had some friendship with Yun Gufeng in the past, all the strongest people in the God-defying realm whose strength is not weaker than Yun Gufeng have all opened their mouths to scold Yun Gufeng. What's more, one after another divine consciousness shrouded Yun Gufeng's body in an extremely unkind way, as if he dared to act recklessly again, a group of people around would attack and kill him together. Yun Gufeng, you'd better give us an explanation. Otherwise the Nishan realm won't tolerate you and your family. Next to Xiao Mubai was an old man who looked like a semi-sage, staring at Yun Gufeng with indifferent eyes, and said in a cold tone, as one of the world masters of the Nishan realm, he really wants Yun Gufeng to get out, because Yun Gufeng and the Yun family behind him will never be able to return to the Nishan realm in the future. Yun Gufeng was naturally aware of this point. So upon hearing the old man's words, Yun Gufeng suddenly smiled wryly and helplessly, and at the same time looked around and said, Everyone, you all misunderstood. I have no malice towards Lord Duan Lingtian. Now, I am about to step forward and apologize to Lord Duan Lingtian on behalf of the unworthy descendants of my Yun family who were expelled from the family in the past. After the words fell, he looked at Duan Lingtian, bowed respectfully, and said, Master Duan Lingtian, Yun Qingyan was expelled from the Yun family by me in the past, and you must have heard about it. After the relocation of the land of the gods this time, I also made another decision to deprive Yun Qingyan's father of Yun Tingfeng as the head of the family. Now, Yun Tingfeng is no longer the head of the Yun family. As the saying goes, it is the fault of the son not teaching his father. Yun Qingyan ran away, but his father was still there, and I imprisoned him in the Yun family. I'm going to hand it over to Lord Duan Lingtian for your disposal. Master Duan Lingtian, if you say a word, I will send him on his way back to Yun's house today. In Yun Gufeng's words, the tone was very sincere, full of desire to survive. From the very beginning, Duan Lingtian didn't care about Yun Gufeng's approaching him, because he had already seen that this person was just an extraordinary powerhouse. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be the most powerful member of the Yun family in the land left by the gods. Now, upon hearing what the other party said, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but secretly sigh. It really is a world where the strong are respected. In the past, Yun Qingyan, who had acted aloof in front of him, was feared by the ancestor of the Yun family and expelled from the family because he got Shin Yun Quan to have a relationship with Xiao Mubai. Now that he has stepped into the 7th level of the strongest and has the strength to surpass Jezun, this ancestor of the Yun family is lucky to have removed Yun Tingfeng, the head of the Yun family. He also heard about some things about the Yun family from his 3rd uncle Xiajie later, so he knew some things. It was also because of this that even if he had the current strength and returned to the God against God realm, he did not intend to target the Yun family too much, nor did he deliberately target the Yun family. Otherwise, with his current strength, destroying the Yun family would be nothing more than a matter of flipping hands. Moreover, even if he did this, he can be sure that no one in the entire God-defying realm will have any objections to it. Just watch and deal with it. Duan Lingtian glanced at Yun Gufeng lightly and said, I only have one request. There are people who have done something against me in the past. You must deal with me. The rest, including you, since they haven't thought badly about me, I won't care about it. Hearing what Duan Lingtian said, Yun Gufeng was immediately surprised and responded repeatedly, Master Duan Lingtian, don't worry, I will definitely investigate the matter of that year after I return to Yun's house after listening to the class today. I will give Lord Duan Lingtian a satisfactory explanation. Duan Lingshin's easy-to-talk surprised Yun Gufeng, and even this guy didn't seem to let him go and didn't let him attend the class. But if I find that Yun Qingyan in the future, he will definitely die. Duan Lingtian continued. Upon hearing this, Yun Gufeng said with a ruthless face, That little bastard, if I can find him in the future, I will definitely let him die without a place to bury him. He really hates Yun Qingyan, almost killed the entire Yun family. He has already decided that after returning from the class this time, he must investigate Yun Qingyan's father, Yun Tingfeng, to see what he secretly did against Duan Lingtian and who else from the Yun family was involved. He knew that the crisis originating from Duan Lingtian hadn't completely disappeared yet. Only if he handles this matter well, Duan Lingtian may completely let him go and let the Yun family go. Lord Duan Lingtian really has a lot of adults. If this Yun Xinfeng and the Yun family behind him dare to act like monsters in the future, I will definitely not let him and the Yun family go. Soon, one of the most powerful people in the God-defying realm began to flatter Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he also expressed his willingness to supervise the Yun family together. As soon as he finished speaking, another group of Xians followed suit, saying that they would also help Duan Lingtian supervise the Yun family. Brother Yin, congratulations on getting through this calamity. I was estranged from you before, and I really can't offend Lord Duan Lingtian, so I hope Brother Yin will forgive me. Seeing that Duan Lingtian didn't intend to argue with Yun Gufeng, an extremely strong person who had a good relationship with Yun Gufeng in the past, immediately communicated with Yun Gufeng via voice transmission. However, Brother Yin, you must handle this matter that Lord Duan Lingtian asked you to do properly. And you must not be soft-hearted, just because the person who wants to do it is your descendant. After a while, a few of Yun Gufeng's old friends congratulated Yun Gufeng through sound transmission, and at the same time they also said similar words to admonish Yun Gufeng. The episode about Yun Gufeng ended like this. Next, Feng Qingyang began to give lectures, discussing and evolving his Do of the Sword for the most powerful people in the anti-God world present. In fact, Feng Qingyang's current kendo has transformed into the time kendo. However, because none of the most powerful people in the God-defying realm is good at the law of time, he mainly talked about his core swordsmanship. Kendo before time kendo. Even so, the audience was still mesmerized and more or less enlightened. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.